You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Well, here we go. Big day in Jacksonville as the introductory news conference will be joined at 3:30 right here on CBS 47 and Fox 30 with Action Sports Jax. Not here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, but on the TV side of things. So Liam Coen, the new coach of the Jags, and obviously still a lot of conversation about that. But what is next? Kind of already flipped the page to, all right, who's next? Who's the GM? Who's the DC? What's the staff look like? And that will kind of unveil itself over the next couple of days, I would suspect. Maybe we'll get some news on that coming up today. Chiefs and Eagles in the Super Bowl. And what else is new, I guess, in the NFL? Holy cow. The Chiefs get it done once again. 2 catches for Travis Kelce. He's on his way out. I feel like he's not even a factor in the football game, and they still score 32 points. Think about that for a second. I don't even know if I felt Mahomes' arm in that game, and they still scored 32 points. Think about that for another second. And that's how boring sometimes they just make it look. Austen Lane, here's the first time and we know how good Andy Reid is, and obviously Spagnuolo's getting a lot of love right now, but the Buffalo Bills just simply got out-coached in that football game to me.
Yeah, they got out-coached, man, but also, I mean, and I get Mahomes, Kelce didn't play their best game, but to me, this is the calling card of the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have a million ways to beat you, and this is the genius of Andy Reid. And I almost give, because I was thinking about this, right? Because this is another dynasty, this is another New England Patriots, but I almost give the edge to Andy Reid and how great he is, because keep in mind, the Patriots kind of lucked into Drew Brees, right? Like, if they wanted him so bad, they would have drafted him in the first round.
Yeah, Brady, yeah.
They didn't. I'm sorry, not Drew Brees. Yeah, Tom Brady. Hello. Yeah, Tom Brady. Andy Reid's been on record many times. A lot of people around the league have said, like, when he met with Patrick Mahomes and he was on the board, Andy Reid knew right away what a special player Patrick Mahomes could be. So, obviously it's been a match made in heaven between the quarterback and the head coach. But yesterday was another example of they have a million ways to beat you, right? Like, if it's not Isaiah Pacheco, it's going to be Kareem Hunt. If it's not going to be Travis Kelce, it's going to be Hollywood Brown and Smith-Schuster out of nowhere. And this is kind of the model of the Kansas City Chiefs is I think they design every single week they feature somebody else. Remember, like, in the beginning of the season, it wasn't Travis Kelce, it was Noah Gray. Noah Gray was like the hottest thing in fantasy football for a little bit. And now he's like an afterthought. So I just think it goes to just the genius that is Andy Reid. And then obviously when you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, that helps you out as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, it's so house money in what I feel like for the Chiefs. Like, even the last play that they iced the game on, I don't think everybody throws the football there. But because, like, they can, because it just feels like, hey, everything they do, everything's so slow for them. It's not a hyper moment. We're totally different for the Bills yesterday. You could see it. I mean, Josh Allen's unbelievable. He's fantastic. And I think he played well at a lot of times in the game, but he didn't play well all the time in the game. You could tell in that football game, if you looked at Josh Allen, he looked uncomfortable at times, like he was, it meant the world to him, which it did. I mean, the mountain on his shoulders and on the Bills to win that football game was big. Now, they played a pretty good football game overall, but still wasn't good enough. And I think he's just going to keep building that and carrying that. And that's a tough thing to shake. That's just real life kind of stuff for Josh Allen. But I just thought they got out. Like, I don't know. I mean, you say Mahomes all the time. I think the defense, again, the difference in the football game is their defense, the Bills versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is just better. Obviously dominated the line of scrimmage during those short yardage plays and dominated the short yardage plays on 2-point conversions. Maybe different in the game. Probably saved 7 points at least in the 2-point conversions and then the 4th and 1 late. So I know everybody's going to complain about the officials. I think there's more to the officiating. I think you make your own. Was not impressed with some of the play calling in the short yardage situations. I mean, the tush-push thing, the whatever it is, it's not even really a tush-push, it looks like, with the Bills. It wasn't working, man. Like, I don't know why they went to the well so much. It just wasn't working. And, yeah, maybe it was a first down at the end. I don't know. But it looked like they were getting about a half a yard every time anyway. The greatest one they had was probably the dive over the top, and he almost fumbled the football on that one. So I really don't know why they kept going to that play and why they couldn't stop Mahomes running to the right. I mean, if you really just want to shrink down the game, because it's very even statistically, very, very even, I think those two play calls where the Chiefs roll to the right, run Mahomes, Bills had no answer, and then the tush push, if you will, well, the Chiefs stymied it, and they called it a million times.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair with that tush push, whatever you want to call it, I forgot what they said, like what the percentages were, but they usually hit that, right? So like, that's kind of like their bread and butter. And why wouldn't you want the ball in your best player's hands in Josh Allen? Now, yeah, hindsight's 2020. Should have handed the ball off to Cook a little more because he seemed to be running really hard and everything. And on the other side, with Mahomes and his ability to scramble, I get he's shown a little bit of that this year, but it hasn't been like we've been accustomed to seeing in terms of the scrambling ability of Patrick Mahomes. So I feel like, the AFC Championship game, and it was funny because I was reading a bunch of articles about it saying, is Mahomes going to actually run and put the ball in his hands, or is he going to pass a little more? Well, you saw once again kind of what that game plan was a little bit, where there was nothing to hold back now. Injuries be damned. Like, if you're going to lose, you're going to lose with the ball in the best player's hands. That's Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. So he kind of took it upon himself. I feel like a couple of times probably could have handed the ball off. He kept it, and it worked out well. So I think with Andy Reid, it's about you get so locked into tendencies of what the Kansas City Chiefs do, and then all of a sudden when the game matters the most, he completely flips the script, and it's something different.
Color me not excited for the Super Bowl right now, even though it's on Fox 30, and I know we'll all watch, and maybe we'll get more excited about it. But I'm tired of the damn Chiefs.
Why?
I don't care.
Why?
Because I'm tired of the Chiefs. I mean, I just don't care about watching the Chiefs play football anymore.
Okay, that's great. But guess what, man? The NFL needs a villain, and the Kansas City Chiefs went from being America's sweetheart to being the absolute villain. And you mean to tell me you're not going to watch possibly a team for the first time in NFL history win back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls? Like, that's history. We may never see that again. Like, I'm excited for it. I get it. It's kind of the same teams over and over. It's Philly, it's Kansas City, but man, it's football. There's always going to be storylines. There's always going to be things to watch, and I'm excited to see if the Kansas City Chiefs can do something that no other team in NFL history has done before.
Yeah, I'm not excited about it, but it will be history, and we'll be watching anyway, as we always. I mean, we could say that. It just doesn't do much for me. And the Eagles, by the way, I'm a big Saquon Barkley guy. Like, as you get to watch Saquon Barkley this year, he seems like a cool dude. I feel like I'm rooting for him. I'm not really sure I can say I'm rooting for the Eagles either. They're not the most fun team to be rooting for either from the outside looking in, unless you're an Eagles fan. But holy cow, is that team put together? I mean, that is just unbelievable football team. And here's the thing. Here's the big picture. It's a huge day in Jacksonville, so we'll talk more about the Super Bowl in a little bit. But what the dynamic is wild, because as the Jags start over again in a new era, and it doesn't feel like they're starting over from scratch in many respects. I mean, when you feel like you've got your franchise quarterback and some players, certainly not starting from scratch. But those games yesterday are just another indicator of how far it seems like the Jaguars are away, right? And there are a lot of teams like this, and that's why these teams continue to go, because people are having trouble catching up. It looks like the Lions caught up and still can't get in there. So this is a monumental day in Jacksonville as the next era begins, the Liam Cohen era. But man, he's got a lot of work to do, because the Jags are, heck, they got to close the gap in the AFC South. And even Houston isn't close to where these guys are in terms of getting to a Super Bowl. There's a lot of runway in between the best in the NFL and the Jacksonville Jaguars.
No, without a doubt. But, I think if Washington has showed you anything, that if you have the right quarterback and you have the right coach in place, great things can happen. Now, I know people are still on the fence about it. Is Trevor Lawrence going to be the guy? And we're about to find out. And that's the beauty of football. And that's going to be, I think, the beauty of this up-and-coming season with a Liam Cohen-led offense now. We're about to find out just how capable Trevor Lawrence is of leading this team on a run. Because you saw what Jane Daniels was able to do as a rookie with a first-year offensive coordinator in Washington and Cliff Kingsbury. And they're a game away. And yeah, and granted, they kind of got their butts whooped and everything, but you can't take away from the run that Washington had when they were really dead to rights a couple years ago in terms of optics and that whole Dan Snyder thing. So I understand it feels like, we're far away right now. And maybe we are, because I look at like Philly and what Philly's been able to do the past couple years with their quarterback, with the draft, with free agency. Yeah, Jacksonville's not on that level yet. but I'll take the Washington route all day. New coach, new improved quarterback. Hopefully Trevor Lawrence can be kind of like that a la Jane Daniels. Not the same type of player, but I'm just saying being able to elevate his team. And then hopefully, Cohen can kind of make the right play calls here and usher in a new offense.
Yeah, I think this goes back to kind of a mantra we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, really last week. You got to make a series of good decisions, right? And if you look at teams like Washington, who have made 20 years worth of bad decisions, they made a series of good decisions, from Jaden Daniels to Dan Quinn to whatever else they did. Maybe it was adding some free agents and other players. Philadelphia has done that for a long time now, it seems like, ever since really Doug Peterson led them to a Super Bowl. The Chiefs have been doing that with trying to replenish and keep this thing going, and they continue to find ways. The Jags are going to have to do that, and we think they did. They made the move in the front office. Liam Cohen has to be the guy, right? He's got to be a good head coach. He's got to be the right call. And now you've got the GM and other spots and everything else that the Jags have to try to fix. But to your point, there is precedent to say you can turn it quick. And while the gap seems so big, we have actually seen it right in Jacksonville change. Remember, it was 2016, the Jags were 3-13. And then in 2017, they go to the AFC Championship game. And that was, what would that have been, like the end of the Patriots run, right? So, I mean, still kind of in the, I don't know about middle, but toward the back end of the Patriots run as they ended up losing to Philly in that Super Bowl. But I guess it feels like it's so far, but it doesn't have to be as far if you make a couple of good decisions a la Washington. And quite frankly, the Jags did the same thing. They brought some good free agents in 2017. They obviously had the right mix at the time with Coughlin and Marrone, and the drafting of Fournette for that year, not sustainable success, but you were able to do it. So I think you can do it. I think there's a precedent for getting it done, even right here in Jacksonville, of all places.
No, without a doubt. And that's what a new coach can bring to you. It can bring invigoration. It can bring hope and everything. And we're going to get a sneak peek of that here in a couple hours with that press conference.
What do you want to hear from Liam Cohen? Is there a win the press conference opportunity here? I know people are like, oh, you win the press conference, who cares? But there is something to be said for that. I watched the Chicago one with Ben Johnson, and I liked it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I feel like you could learn a little bit about Ben Johnson. He's kind of been behind closed doors, this guru, but if you really paid attention to that news conference, I thought you could tell stuff. I thought you could tell his attention to detail, his organization. It seemed like he spoke to all parts of the organization in his introductory news conference. And I don't think we've heard Liam Cohen a lot. We don't really know who he is as a football coach. We've heard glimpses. We've seen a glimpse here or there. We've got a little mic'd up of him at Kentucky. But I think this is really is an introduction to Liam Cohen. This isn't like Doug Peterson walking in and we kind of have an idea of who he is, or Urban Meyer walking in and we have an idea, Tom Coughlin, those kind of guys. This is, hey, what's this dude all about? And we're about to learn this afternoon. But you can win the press conference and continue to rally the troops here, I think, in Jacksonville might carry some importance. I think people will really cling to what he says today.
No, I mean, obviously, it's going to carry a lot of importance because people are looking for that glimmer of hope right now after a very disappointing last season. How much can you really put in these press conferences, right? I think it's going to be a lot. I mean, I think every coach kind of has their own flavor, but it's usually the same, excited to get started, going to work hard, all this stuff. But a few things that I'll be listening for, and I feel like coaches always do this, whether they know it or not. When coaches are asked, who are they excited to work with? How do they envision using this offense, this team and everything? They'll always list like a handful of players, right? Like I'm sure he'll say Trevor Lawrence. I'm sure he'll say Brian Thomas Jr. But I'm always curious to hear the order of things. I never feel like the order's by mistake. So if the question gets asked today, what do you see from this Jaguars offense? Who are you looking forward to working with? He'll probably list maybe 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever many players. Listen to the order that he names them in, because that's going to be, I think, the order of importance. Like if he talks about Trevor first, well, yeah, obviously he's the quarterback. But if it's like Trevor, Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram, and then he mentions the running game, okay, that could kind of give you a little clue of how he feels about this offense right now in terms of the receivers versus the running backs. If Tank Bigsby get mentioned up front, well, then maybe he likes the run game a lot more than maybe we liked it last year.
Happy's partner, he could go up there and fart into the mic and say, "This is what we're doing to our opponents this year," and fire me up.
Yeah.
Yeah. ETA on envelope or reveal. I think we'll do that in the noon hour because I think Austin's going to jump back in with us. He's going to have to go out for a workout and then come back in. So,
I got to like 10:45. Brent, we got plenty of time to do it now. Let's go.
No. Noon hour. We got to tease it. It's part of this business. He did say teal and black or it should be teal and black instead of black and teal. Yeah. We'll give him a pass on that one. And Hamby, what do you want to hear? What do you think? What you got anything? You're gonna get fired up? Like, I've been to a lot of these news conferences. I can't tell you I get fired up, but I'm kind of with Austin. I do think there are some it's just kind of an overall 30,000-foot view type thing that you do pull out, right? I mean, I think I will say it, we're going to learn a little bit about what he's all about, and he gets a chance to set the temperature of that. And you know how I feel about this. I continue to just pound it home. I think like the mission statement, identity, all those kind of things, like very elementary type things are interesting here. And so I think hopefully he has that. I think some of the things that he probably said in an interview, he should say out loud to everybody else. And what is this team going to be all about? Who are the Jacksonville Jaguars? Can you answer that question? I think you should almost be able to say who we want the Jaguars to be, and then we'll find out by September or maybe after the year if they were able to check those boxes and answer. What do you want to hear, Hamby?
Yeah, I'm somewhat focused on the personality, but I also just want to hear a little intensity. Or maybe not hear it, but I just want to feel that kind of the sense of urgency from him. We're going to get some of the cliches, ready to get to work. Excellence is the standard, all that stuff. But I still want to hear it. I still want to hear it be said, and I want to hear the intensity. As far as I would love him to shed some light on the process as well of how Shad came and got him, and why he, decided that this was the best time to become a head coach. I think we have heard maybe once or twice that he's always wanted to be a head coach. Well, this is his first shot, so I want to hear him say, what about himself he believes is going to be able to carry over from both sides of the ball, an entire locker room, right? Not just offensive play calling or whatever. So as much as I'd rather, or some would probably hear, I'd rather, I want to do this with Trevor, I want to do this with BTJ, I want to do this, I want to hear, this is who I am as a head coach. This is who I want to be. There's a lot of aspects as a football coach that I've yet to been able to kind of show because I've only been on one side, but this is who I want to be as a head coach.
Yeah, it'll be, so it's, again, I think it carries some weight to set the tone. And I think that's what people are saying in our chat as well. I think they want to hear it. I think, listen, he'll come out of this fine. There are sometimes disaster news conferences. I don't expect this to be one, obviously, but you wouldn't expect any of them to be. And hey, maybe I should root for the disaster news conference because that seemed to be working out okay for the Eagles and Sirianni. And I think even Dan Campbell's wasn't great, and that worked out for him. Maybe we should root. Maybe the process was already clunky enough. We don't need a clunky news conference, but whatever ends up working out in the day, we will take it. That's at 3:30 today, by the way. We'll have it on TV, CBS 47 and Fox 30. We can carry it live on TV. We won't be able to stream it live on all our different platforms, but we can broadcast it live on TV. So we will be there and have all the coverage for you throughout the day on Action Sports Jacks and Action News Jacks. Let's do this. Take an early time out here on the show. We got a little bit more with Austin, and then we'll let him go work out and then come back. We obviously talk about this Super Bowl matchup, but really, what else do the Jags have to build now? I always find it interesting when you talk about there are people, and I appreciate this, that are really locked in on the GM, the offense coordinator, defense coordinator, all these different positions. Yet, I think we know so much less about those kind of positions, or at least have a feel, than we do about the coach. Like, we feel like we know enough about the new coach coming in. Do we know anything about the GMs coming in? And why is a guy like Ian Cunningham such a hot name that's being rumored around? Like, do you even know why? Well, we'll talk a little bit about it when we come back. Brent and Austin Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jags Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, save 10% off a new Rinnai tankless water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Here on Spring Sports Media Day on Action Sports Jack.
It's an opportunity, an education beyond the classroom and the sports arena. Life skills, testing skills, social skills. It's called High School 912, a program focused on maximizing the growth of students in academics, sports, and life. And here's your chance to get involved. If you're a local business, or if you just want to make a donation to help support programs like ACT and SAT boot camps, career days, Leadership Academy, Financial Literacy Academy, and so much more.
Another Nice High School Panther, Jack Cole.
High School 912 supports and hosts high school sporting events and several media days throughout the year. For more information on how you can get involved, visit jackshighschool912.com.
We weren't supposed to be. Had a malfunction.
Good thing I didn't say anything I wasn't supposed to say. What do we got here? Former Bills Jags highly expected offensive line coach Doug Marrone to work under Mike Vrabel with the Patriots. Interesting. All right. There you go, Doug Marrone. Boy, these guys just keep going, don't they? They just keep resurfacing everywhere or keep rocking on as they love to coach. And I appreciate that. I mean, these guys all have enough money. They don't have to. They can just go play some golf if they want to. Guys like Doug Marrone and Doug Peterson, I'm assuming he'll get back into it. But they just keep on rolling. Brent Martineau along with Austen Lane. And we keep on rolling as well. Jason Hamby, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network, as the Jags get set to introduce Liam Cohen here on this Monday. Again, you can watch it on CBS 47 and Fox 30 today. All right, you go through the Rolodex now, and you start hearing some names from defensive coordinators, whether it's Patrick Graham or Tom Pelissero coming out with some more names this morning. GMs, Ian Cunningham. It's like Ian Cunningham's name gets thrown out for the last week, and everybody's like, okay, I guess it's going to be Ian Cunningham. Let's look up this guy and see what he is. The GM stuff is so interesting to me because, first of all, I don't think you could pick up a GM could walk right in here, and I'd have no idea he was an assistant general manager or maybe even a GM in the NFL. I have no idea what makes you like a candidate to be good. I know what makes you good. Look at Howie Roseman. But I don't know how you go find that guy, right? That's a very interesting scenario. So I always kind of chuckle a little bit when people get excited about a GM. Because I'm like, how the heck can you even tell if this guy's going to be good or not? It's just pedigree. Like Cunningham comes from Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Chicago. So obviously Baltimore and Philadelphia have worked out well over the last decade or so. Chicago, I don't know if that gets you too fired up being an assistant there. But I guess that's the hot name. Austin, Ian Cunningham does have the same agent as Liam Cohen, so there could be some tie in there. But, I mean, there are a lot of guys that have the same agents across the National Football League, too. It seems like Liam Cohen is going to get an opportunity to have some big-time say in whoever this GM is, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as he should, right? Because this is kind of uncharted waters to the Jacksonville Jaguars now, hiring a coach and then kind of going after a GM that the coach would want. In terms of Ian Cunningham, I just think it's the resume in terms of where he's been. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's been a part of 2 Super Bowls. Not obviously in the GM position, but I can't remember how it all played out. But one, I think he was like the pro college scout, like the head college scout, and the other, he was like an assistant, I think in Philly it would have been. So he's been a part of winning organizations. He's been in rooms where he knows what good drafts look like. He knows what I think good free agent signings look like and how that process is supposed to go. So I just think in terms of being a part of winning cultures, Ian Cunningham could be that guy.
Yeah, and here's what I think. And Hamby's Burner says Chicago, he's a part of that fleece that pulled Carolina with all the picks. And I was like, okay, that's cool, but he ain't pulling the trigger on that. He's helped do the homework. There are a lot of guys in the building that help do the homework on this stuff. Like I wonder this genuinely, and I'm not saying they should do this. There's probably somebody on that personnel staff, scouting staff, maybe it is Ethan Waugh, who could be really good at this position. Now, you're probably not promoting from within when you just fired the GM, and getting around other organizations that have had success, I think, is an important part of it so you can see it go right. And that's what I do like about this one because it's Philadelphia, Baltimore, and we know Baltimore is one of the more respected for the last 25 years, really, how they've been able to pull stuff off personnel-wise, build rosters, all the rest. And then, obviously, Philly's the latest in the last decade. But I just think there's so much more to that spot than just being able to get the players, identify the players. Like we have just learned this over the last 5 years, Austin, right? I mean, there is so much more that GM does. Everybody that I've talked to will tell you that, hey, Trent Baalke's not a bad personnel guy. He's not. But I think a lot of the other things that make the characteristics of a good general manager help bring this thing all together behind the scenes that I believe a lot of people don't know, talk about. It's not a transactional type of thing, but you're part of it that makes it go, like Philadelphia, and we're seeing with Howie Roseman, like we've seen in Baltimore for so many decades. I think that's the sweet spot. And I can't sit here and tell you Cunningham's going to know how to do that if he were the guy or the next guy coming in can do that. But I think those are the intangibles. I think there are a lot of intangibles to coaching, to playing, but I think that GM job probably has more intangibles than we give credit for.
No, without a doubt. I think one of the most important parts is obviously it's the draft, but it's drafting the guys that your team needs, right? When we think about the top organizations in the NFL, whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs, whether right now it's the Eagles, the Ravens, they always seem to draft, for instance, when Baltimore drafts, whether, it's a center, whether it's a tight end, it's yep, that's a Baltimore pick right there. Or in the past couple of years when we've seen what Philly's done with their defensive line, all the Georgia guys, yep, that sounds like an Eagles pick. And then, this past season, even though a lot of people wanted to hate on it, okay, they draft the top 2 cornerbacks, in the NFL draft that season. And it's okay, well, did they kind of reach a little? Doesn't matter if they reached or not. they needed cornerback help. So they drafted what they thought were the best 2 cornerbacks. Now, Mitchell obviously has been dealing with injuries and everything, but Cooper DeJean has kind of filled in and become one of those dudes, one of those dogs. So I just think what it comes down to, it's yes, you have to draft, but you have to know what you're drafting for your franchise and kind of have that brand a little bit. And that's what I think the Jaguars will be looking now for with this next draft and this next GM cycle.
Yeah, it's a good point, right? I mean, again, it wraps it all in. It's like, this is who we are. This is who we're trying to be. This is what we want to be. And how aggressive will you, like all those things. That's what I always hats off to the Eagles. I mean, they just feel like, they fall into some stuff, right? I mean, isn't it Chicago who could have picked Jalen Carter and somehow didn't? I don't even know who they picked instead. But then the Eagles, he's just sitting there at like number 9. And man, Carter goes to the Eagles, and you just add to it. So you get a little lucky at some. Listen, the Jags got a little fortunate too over the years with a guy like Josh Hines Allen. He landed in their lap. You could even say Jalen Ramsey not being picked at the time by I think it was Dallas who had the. No, I think it was the Chargers who ended up picking Bosa instead, and they could have picked Ramsey. And I guess you couldn't have lost there because DeForest Buckner even was the number 5 pick. It felt like all 3 players were going to be good. So again, some of it's luck, but then others like, okay, we're gonna go get Saquon Barkley. and the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. Like, they're just not. I mean, he arguably is the MVP of the league. And he's just changed them even more than they already were. So, and then there's the backside of it. It's the Chiefs side of it. When you're always picking at the back end and you're able to get players that make a difference in your puzzle. And not everybody's going to go after Worthy, but as soon as Worthy went to the Chiefs, we're like, that's going to be a factor. Well, look how much of a factor he was yesterday. I don't know if he's a factor week in, week out, as much as people thought this year in the NFL, but he was a factor in the big games because Andy Reid gets to use him in that chess match. So I think that's part of it. Who are you? You got to be able to answer that question. Liam Cohen and whoever the GM is, and if it's Tony Baselli and Shad Khan, everybody part of the front office, they've got to answer that question, and then you can go grab folks and players and make more educated decisions based on who you are. But I think that's the overarching question right now, Austin. I don't think we know that question when we walk into the building here in Jacksonville.
No, we definitely don't, and I think even with this draft coming up, hopefully they get somebody rather sooner than later, but there's a lot of ways that you can go right now. And I think that's going to be a lot to what Liam Cohen and whoever the GM's going to be is going to hash that out a little bit, because I think Liam Cohen's going to be looking for a guy, the GM's going to be looking for a guy, and there's a lot of possibilities that you can go, and some of them may be sexier than others. But once again, you have to kind of look at the big picture of things, right? Like, for instance, Travis Hunter right now, name being thrown around. This is the guy that can come in and turn around a fan base. I can't imagine how many booms the Jacksonville Jaguars would get if the Costco guys made a video of Travis Hunter. Oh, my God. 10 booms. Give him 10 booms right now. And by the way, only way you want to blow up a Liam Cohen press conference and actually make me not want to be a Jaguars fan, have the Costco guys introduce Liam Cohen at this press conference. Hey, Tony Khan, Shad Khan, want to make me lose all hope? The only way they can do that is if you cycle those 2 guys up on that podium and be like, hey, we got the double chocolate cookie, and we got Liam Cohen, like, so help me, Brent. Like, it's a layup. Just post them up there and say, hey, I'm Liam Cohen. I'm going to change this offense around. Jacksonville, you're in good hands. That's all we need. I swear if I see one of the Costco guys or the little guy that does this, the Rizzler or whatever, it's over, Brent. I've lost all hope. Watch what Vegas does. Like, I'm not sure if Vegas put out the lines yet in terms of the over-unders of wins right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe we're at 7.5. Maybe we're at 8. Probably not, but we'll see. If you schmuck out the Costco guys, it's dropping down to 4.
I love how you hate the Costco guys like I hate the Chiefs right now.
Yeah, but at least one's justified, because like you're trying to hate greatness. I'm not hating greatness. I'm trying to hate
man. The boom meter is pretty great.
Chill out, Hamby. Just chill out.
5 out of 5.
Hey, I think it's sorry, I can't. The name's Jamie. I think it says, in regards to Patrick Graham, is there a risk that he feels disrespected with how his in-person interview was handled last week? I don't know that. That's a very good question. It feels, from the outside looking in, you might be able to say that, but as long as there was good communication along the way, I don't. even Patrick Graham's folks probably knew he wasn't a frontline guy for this position. But you take opportunities, right? And he was going to be looking for a defense coordinator job. And the Jags, one thing they've created is, hey, if you're in this organization, you have a chance to move up and stay in this organization. They've done that before. I think that's an attractive thing to be an assistant head coach, defensive coordinator, or whatever it might be if things don't work out with the guy. So the main guy. And we've seen that up multiple times. So it really just, to me, depends how it was communicated, how clunky it was. Part of it's the business. I think there's some word out there that I saw somewhere that he is being considered still, or highly considered for the DC job, which is something we anticipated last week when he was involved in this process anyway and invited back for a second interview. I told you Saleh, same type of thing, although Saleh was never going to take this defensive coordinator job. From everything I had heard, he was going to San Francisco if it wasn't going to be a head coaching position. So I really don't know the answer to that question, but I don't think right now it eliminates you from getting Patrick Graham, because Patrick Graham is still out there. There are other names being thrown out there too. Tom Pelissero had one this morning, and he's a younger guy. Durante Jones. Like, I really don't. I mean, again, we're going to find out. Even Patrick Graham, he's been a guy that was in the Patriots organization, so he's got a longer history and a longer resume. He's been a defensive coordinator before with the Raiders, with the Giants, with the Dolphins. So there are things to like, but how do you know? The bottom line here, Austin, is two huge hires this cycle. The GM job, and I think the DC job. And quite frankly, they could hire you as the DC, and I don't think this defense could be much worse. Ryan Nielsen just did not work out. So I think Murphy's Law says they're going to be better anyway, but it feels like a big hire because this is a first-time coach in Liam Cohen. And much like Doug tried to tell us, I think, over the last 3 years, when you're an offensive guy, you want to kind of just be in charge of the offense and let the defensive coordinator do his thing. So I think the DC hire is really important, in which you like a guy like Patrick Graham, probably just from an experience standpoint. Mm-hmm. If you put a first-time DC in here, then you're like, oh, wait, man, I might have to babysit that a little bit. Do the Jags have to be careful to go too young on their coaching staff, I guess, too inexperienced at some of these levels?
It's wild how it seems like offensive coaches, we always clamor towards the young guys, the young hot shots with the nice fireplaces and that can dress really well, whatever the case may be. And on the defensive side of things, we always gravitate more towards like the seasoned veterans who have done it for a while, who have been around the league for a while. Not really sure why that is or why that's a thing, but I think it is a thing. So, yeah, Brent, I agree with you. This defensive coordinator is going to be important. It's funny because, there's like the Chip Kelly rumors. Is he coming to Jacksonville? Like, nobody cares about the offensive coordinator because, well, they're not going to be calling the plays. Right. So it's literally it's kind of like a title, and we think don't even put that in the atmosphere, Brent. But we think that's going to be zero booms. That's going to be the case. But no, I think on the other side, Brent, yeah, I don't want to go with a young upstart defensive coordinator because that's what we're kind of doing with the offensive side of things. So you got to find that balance. Give me a seasoned guy who's done it for a while, who has the experience, who maybe has a little bit of that grit and attitude and can hopefully turn things around. Because to echo what you said, the last thing you want your offensive coordinator or your head coach, but who's calling the plays to do is, hey, defense, can we pick it up a little bit because I'm doing my part, but I don't want to come over there and hold your hands through this defensive process as well.
Hamby, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because remember when McVay, he was so young, right? He was like 31 years old when he got hired. And I think he went with Wade Phillips as his defensive coordinator at the time. I think that was his first one. It was like, I don't know. He might have been like 72 at the time, if he was in his 60s. But the idea was, okay, hey, we're going to build some infrastructure around him. Take a look at what even the Raiders did. Now, I know this didn't work, but Antonio Pierce was the coach. He was a first-time coach, even though he's not like 30, but he's a first-time coach. They brought in some veteran guys, like even Tom Coughlin. He helped them. He was an advisor to Antonio Pierce, who obviously he coached with the Giants. And so I don't get the sense, like I'm not screaming for that in Jacksonville. It's like a difference between when you're 30 and 31 and 39, which Liam Cohen is.
Right.
But I also think you do have to be a little bit careful to get too much fresh blood in here, that everybody's trying to figure it out on their own. Like, who's going to be the elder statesman in this front office? Hey, listen, you could have a first-time GM, even Tony Baselli, whatever role he's in. It's not like he's been doing this for decades. Like, he's going to have a new role. I think I always come back to this soundbite from Shad Khan on Dave Caldwell. He's in his formative years. is basically what he said. And he's like, man, he's got some good stuff in there, but he was still a little bit young. He's a little bit early. He made a couple mistakes because he's still inexperienced in some areas. And I think about that, and I wonder how much that resonates with Shad to be like, okay, I don't mind going young, but we have to get some infrastructure here that also says I need to lean on you in certain circumstances. And I think the Jags have to be careful of that, Hamby.
Yeah, it's weird because that's what I feel like people want. That's why I think people want Chip Kelly. As if because he's the elder statesman OC who's gonna be able to hold Liam Cohen's hand. Like no, that's the side of the ball that we don't want. That I don't need Liam Cohen needing any advice on the offensive side of the football. It's his whatever. We live and die with whatever he says 100%. That doesn't mean you go hire anybody to be the OC, but Liam Cohen's the OC and the head coach. It's 100% why you should go get an older defensive coordinator, at least somebody who's done it before. There's like Durante Jones. He's a Brian Flores guy, but he's a first-year guy and he's a younger guy. So if we're going to have all younger dudes who have never been in those positions before, it's kind of a recipe for either striking absolute gold or holy cow, we could have some blow-ups here.
Yeah, I'm a fresh blood guy. Like, I like it. I love the idea of it, Austin. Like, I think it's kind of cool when you've got the unknown is cool. The unknown also is scary. And I think Hammy just put it perfect, man. It's like this could be a strike of gold or it could be a disaster. And disaster is something I think you have to avoid a little bit. Like, you want to strike gold, that's cool. And maybe these guys are super studs coming up and they've been trained so well and coached so well. And you can take some of the speed bumps out of the way. And it's okay to live and learn just a little bit. But it does feel like you've got to be careful to do that too much. Who's calling who? At least remember, like Sutton, bring him back in the building or something like that, right? As an analyst, just because he's seen it before. Like, I mean, you got plenty of guys in town. You can have your advisory committee come, just go meet at the beach if you need some help.
You see with Vic Fangio, a guy who's, obviously, I mean, he had a stint as a head coach, but didn't work out. But he's been a defensive coordinator for I don't know. I feel like since Teddy Roosevelt was in office, he's been doing his thing, and he's still having success right now in Philly. So it goes to show he's in Philly, right? Vic Fangio.
Oh yeah. Number one.
Yeah, so it goes to show you it's weird how offenses are always revolving and everything or evolving, and they're always the young up and starter. But you look at defensive coordinators in the league that are successful, whether it's the Kansas City Chiefs, whether it's the Philadelphia Eagles, they're more veteran. They're more grizzled and old school.
Yeah, hey, you got to get out of here, by the way. So we'll see you in just a little bit. Have a good workout. Right. We'll talk more.
Get those envelopes ready, Brent. Let's go.
I will. We got the big box ready to go. Envelope game coming up in the noon hour.
Twitch, I know he is.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I know he had Ben Johnson written down. He's gonna try to make that switch.
I don't know. I don't have an envelope handy. I can't even prepare for the envelope game. Never mind making this bait and switch. But I'm kind of happy they didn't hire Joe Brady after watching his short yardage situations yesterday.
It's a little concerning there.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Like the Jags.
Coach Ripley says 44 is the average age for the GM. I get it. I know. Hey, listen, again, I don't have a problem with that because we did this. What did they say? 47 is the head coaching age? Interesting. So the Jags are under that. Let's just say it's Cunningham, and who knows how it goes. But if it's Cunningham, he's 38, 39, somewhere in that range. Mm-hmm. So the Jags will be on the younger side of coaching. I don't think it's a bad thing. I just think you have to also be prepared for the unknown times. And I don't know how heavy you have to be prepared for that, but I do think analysts and advisors and other things that do enter the fray could come in handy at some point for this organization, given if they do go first-time guys in a lot of different spots. Keep in mind, we have two huge hires, I think, along with Liam Cohen. GM, defensive coordinator. And I think those are the ones that really, everything is a domino effect from there. And we're going to like the hires most likely. You're going to find what you like about each guy. You did the same thing with Ryan Nielsen. You did the same thing with the offensive staff at Doug. You did the same thing with the offensive staff at Urban. That's what we do, and I'm not blaming you for that, by the way. It's okay to get behind these guys, see the positive of these guys, and maybe they're good. But just like for players, everything is situational. So you want to be put in a situation to be good. And I think some of these guys are going to have to, Cohen's going to have to keep an eye on that part. Who's the elder statesman that he can lean on in some capacity? And same for if it's a younger DC or anything like that. I feel completely different if it's Patrick Graham. I'm like right away, like, okay, that guy's been around for a long time. He's been around New England. He's been around Miami. Been around the Giants. Been around the Raiders. Like, he's seen a lot. I feel good.
Yeah.
Like, that's comfortable. I think they'll probably, if they do, that's probably why they want him. Because, first of all, he's had some pretty good defenses. He's earned it. But might even be why they pay him a little bit more and give him a assistant head coach title or anything like that. It's just part of this puzzle piece that you put together here in Jacksonville.
Brent, it's also one of those where, yes, they're of equal importance, probably the DC and the GM, but nobody's going to be that juiced up for the GM because you're just not going to know who he is.
Absolutely.
Or you wouldn't have known who he was a couple weeks ago before the search. So it's like you kind of got to weigh it, but whoever and whenever they make the hire, just remember it's not Baalke. So that's almost enough. That's going to be enough.
It's going to be a little bit of enough for now.
100%. But
I would continue to tell you now. I mean, it's not enough overall, right?
For years to come, of course.
Yeah, getting rid of Baalke, hiring Cohen's not enough. There's more to it. That's really been my mantra the last few days. Let's see, Devontae Jones. He's not. You said he's with Flores most recently, right?
I don't think. Let me see. I know he was with him either this last time or the time before.
He's not a young guy.
No,
he's 46.
Same age as Patrick Graham.
Yeah, so he's been around the block. Let's see if his highest position though is defensive pass game coordinator. He was an assistant head coach and secondary coach back in college. But LSU. Even if you go back, he's got to go. I mean, you go back to his high school coaching days to find him being a defensive coordinator.
Right.
And so he's been around the league a lot, So Wisconsin, Miami, Cincinnati, Minnesota. Again, this is just a name thrown about today. Whatever. It could be a home run hire. It could be a bad. I have no idea. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I do. But I think the way the pieces add up in the puzzle and the style and what they say and their resume, I think those are the things we have to lean on during this kind of, these kind of hires. And that's unless we know a guy, unless we already know somebody. And I do think it's pretty interesting as you're trying to build to win, right, and win big. All you have to do is take a look at these couple of teams that are going to play for a Lombardi Trophy. And you've got two very veteran defensive coordinators. Mm-hmm. And Spagnuolo, who's done it forever and was a head coach, and obviously Fangio, same deal, done it forever. I mean, these guys are really good. They're really experienced, and you put them with good players, and they're like dangerous, right. And they, we can talk all we want about the offensive side of the ball, and we do. And Andy Reid's a genius, and Patrick Mahomes and all the stuff, and look at Saquon Barkley. Those are rightful things. But the bottom line is, I think the Chiefs have been carried in many respects by their defense for the last 3 years. And that's why they have so many one-score games, because their defense is getting it done, I think, even more than their offense. And meanwhile, Philly's defense is number one in the National Football League this year. So that component is huge right now. We have seen, this is not 5 years ago, we have seen the shift in defense and running the football back. That carries importance, but you still got to do other things. But there's more importance than it was 5 years ago to play defense, right. Especially in the playoffs. That's always been important, and then run the football. So what are they going to do in those spots? I think is pretty interesting. One note we had about Ian Cunningham, and I just want to get to it. Somebody says that I said, why is Cunningham so talked about? And they said, well, because he's interviewed for a bunch of GM jobs over the last couple of years, like Washington. He was a finalist for their job last year. And I said, okay, well, that's cool. That still doesn't give me my answer.
Right.
Because one, he wasn't hired. And two, I don't know how he'll do in that position. And three, Bobby Slowick interviewed for 5 head coaching jobs last year, I think it was. He just got fired. Joe Brady now will have interviewed for a bunch of different jobs. He's staying in Buffalo.
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore for a bunch of them, right? So, listen, not a knock on anybody, not even a knock on Cunningham. I just think you just don't know. I mean, the reason why we on the outside like these guys, other people like them, so we must like them too. I'm not sure that gives me my satisfactory answer. But it's probably better than nobody else was interested in him and we are.
Right.
And we've had that a lot in Jacksonville. And, and speaking of that, if you want to get a thought in here, because I'm about to change the subject, go ahead.
I was going to throw out a name at DC and see what you think.
Okay.
Okay. What if the Jaguars hypothetically went out and got Gus Bradley back? A guy where you're not going to have to mess with his side of the football. He's going to take care of it. He hasn't had a ton of success and great defenses. He didn't have a great one with the Colts, but he's a former head coach, obviously. He knows the Jaguars, obviously, and you don't have to mess with that side. He would be a good ear for Cohen in that sense, a trusted ally in a sense, and a guy who's obviously rooting for the Jags even when he's elsewhere, seems like. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying that I would want him. I'm just saying there are things there that would be advantageous.
Yeah, I get your thought, and you're using a name that we know, and you're going to get hammered for doing it. But listen, nobody likes Gus more than me. I just think it's, first of all, you don't go get, very few times do you go get people that have been fired. Right? So he just got fired in Indianapolis. And
didn't say that I wanted it, Delphonic, before you go and clip it.
And I actually think like this defense I don't know if Gus's defense still works or it just needs exceptional players. And I'm sure it's evolved too. It wouldn't work here. Like, you can't do it here.
No.
I don't know if there's good enough players on that side of the ball overall, like front to back. And that's when that defense has worked the best. I also don't know if it's getting a little bit outdated, the scheme. And again, I think that's evolved too. He'll probably land a job somewhere. I don't know if he'll be as a defensive coordinator. So, yeah, I wonder if it's different where he wants a job. He's still got a place in Jacksonville, and he's your D-line coach or something like that, because he's not getting a coordinator because Gus loves to coach. And then you make him part of it because of that. Maybe. But I don't see it as a coordinator job. But I get what you're saying. You use Gus, which now has everybody going crazy.
It was just a filler.
but I think you can't do it here of all places. But listen, Indianapolis tried to do it, right? And it worked at times in Indianapolis, but not enough. And obviously they let Gus go. So I think you've got to be careful to hire people that have been fired. Now, I will say something else interesting. I think the Patrick Graham deal is pretty wild, and I haven't researched it too much, but like the Raiders obviously were looking for a new coach. Like, they just kind of let his contract go.
Yeah, he didn't get fired.
He didn't get fired,
right,
but the contract just ran out. And then obviously they have this coaching change, so it all works together. But it's a little bit like the Liam Cohen stuff. Like, okay, well, Tampa really tried to keep him. Was this just a weird spot to really try to keep Patrick Graham? At some point in the year, could they have extended him and kept him in their building and under contract to maybe be a part of the next thing? I don't know. But why didn't they? You know, like I always say, it's like a free agent. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, well, why are they letting the free agent go? And again, a lot of circumstances going on in the Raiders. So I'm not saying it's tied, but he didn't get fired. They just let the contract go. Why didn't they want to keep him? Like, the thing about Liam Cohen, we're less nervous, if you will, about nobody else in the league really chasing him hard. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons we are is because we kind of think Tampa and the rest of the league knew Tampa was going to do what they did. They were going to try to keep him.
Right.
And that was probably understood by a lot of folks. Meanwhile, the Jags were like, I don't care about that. We really like this guy. Mm-hmm. So are they out on a limb? I doubt they were out on a limb as much as everybody thinks they are, just because this was the only place he interviewed. I think what happened with the Tampa situation is probably something that other teams didn't want to deal with, and they knew that could be the case. So I think we're a little less worried about why are we the only ones here interviewing this guy, because of the way Tampa made the run at him. And so I think that's the way, at least. I don't know if anybody feels differently about it. Is this going to be one that we look back on and be like, okay, why was Jacksonville the only interview?
Right.
If it goes wrong, we will say that. If it doesn't go well here for Liam Cohen, at the moment we're like, wrestled him away from Tampa, suckers, right? We got him, and so that's pretty cool. Like, I think really the fan base likes that. I think there's something about a win in the organization by getting a guy that somebody else really wanted and to keep around. And you were able to take advantage of a situation where they couldn't fire Bowles. They couldn't do that. And one other thing about that whole situation is that, once again, two things were really you shine the light on in this process, in my estimation, around the league as you look at the NFL as a whole. One is, if you get a damn head coaching opportunity, you might want to take it, no matter how it looked, from the Tampa thing last week to coming to Jacksonville for Liam Cohen, because by Friday, Bobby Slowick was out of a job. And I don't know how close he could have taken a job last year as a head coach. He's still a younger guy, but he got interviews, and the shine goes off in a hurry in the NFL. So good for Liam Cohen to say, wait a minute, this is a great opportunity. I'm circling back on this thing, and I can't guarantee success next year. Heck, those guys did the exact same thing in Houston, and he still got fired.
Right.
Which is nuts, right? It's just wild if you match up those things. Like, how did the guy have head coaching opportunities and get fired? Now, their offense wasn't as good, and almost you give a little credit to Houston to be like, hey, we're changing this, even though it's always a little tough to change on your quarterback. And, hey, you could sit here and be complacent with this success because we went to the playoffs. And they're like, no, we can be better. And so you give them some credit for doing that. But I think it's just wild how you can't pass up. Ben Johnson did it, got away with it. Some people can get away with it. I don't think many people can get away with it. I don't think it's a good move to pass up these opportunities when you can, one, make life-changing money, one, have a dream come true and have your own deal, and especially one with like a franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, which obviously Liam Cohen definitely believes in this situation. So that was one of them. And then I just forgot the other thing because I was talking so much about it. That's something else happened last week that I was like, oh, that's a lesson learned in the NFL. I'll think of it in just a little bit. We're way late on a break anyhow, so let's take a break, and we'll come back. We obviously have more with Liam Cohen. What do you expect? Got a lot of comments in the chat. We'll get to those. The Saints are the only ones without a job. How about the news drop on Schottenheimer, like in Dallas? What a weird hire. I don't remember too often a hire that even like the national guys, like the Rappaports and others, are questioning or kind of like taking a little shot at. Because usually they just applaud everything because they're in good stead with the teams and the agents. But this one was a head scratcher in Dallas. Good for Brian Schottenheimer, former Gator quarterback. He was here under Urban Meyer as well, and what a rally to be the Dallas coach. But it looks like a Dak Prescott pick by all accounts, and now the Saints are the only job available. We'll talk about Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. More on the way at 11 o'clock. Burgers or breakfast, you can get it all at Whataburger. Try something new on the menu or an all-time favorite like the Whataburger Patty Melt. And now you can have breakfast here at Whataburger 12 hours a day, 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. Menu items like the bacon taquito, sausage taquito, honey butter chicken biscuit. Whether you work the late night shift, just want a snack early in the morning to get your day started, or a little pick-me-up late in the morning, 12 hours a day, breakfast served, 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. A dozen locations in Jacksonville. You can order pickup or delivery and download the Whataburger app. New rewards members get free Whataburger items when placing their first online order. Just download the app. And for us coffee drinkers, Whataburger has all new hot coffee and iced coffee too. Satisfy that coffee craving at Whataburger 24/7, and it comes in a variety of flavors. Burgers, breakfast, coffee, and so much more. Whataburger, just like you like it.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports from Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick GMC. We are professional grade.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
This is from Liam Coen, becoming the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, an opportunity of a lifetime, and one that I'm going to run with to instill a championship culture and winning tradition here in Duval. So that's what his mantra is. How will he do that? He's apparently already been in the building all weekend. So as a head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I'll hire a first-class coaching staff, establish a distinctive and effective brand of football on both sides of the ball, and our players will live for the black and teal and black shot, and Jaguars fans should expect nothing less, and that's what we plan to deliver and more. Hey, this is a big task. I really think about it from his point of view. Think about anything that's really life-changing in your life, right? And how much, either you don't sleep the next couple of nights, or people are calling you nonstop and they want to talk about everything and they want to wish you luck and they want to congratulate you. So much gratitude probably for Liam Cohen, the emotions that he must have being able to get this. Plus, you could tell that he didn't love the way it all went down and that he got stuck kind of in a weird spot. And I've heard he's a great dude, by the way. And again, I don't pretend to know him. I covered him a bit. I actually knew his dad a little bit more when I was in Rhode Island because we would talk to him when we were covering high school football at that stage, and he was coaching Liam in high school. But we know a lot of folks that do know him and know the family, and everything we've heard is great stuff about Cohen. I think a good dude, and everybody's going to love him. So if he's thinking if he's that, he doesn't love how all this went down, right, over the last week. It was just a whole clunky thing.
Right.
So you're wrestling with that. You're trying to make peace and amends and everything with Tampa, and you don't want to leave it in a bad way, and now you want to hit the ground running here in Jacksonville. And like I said, it's not like he's flying in this morning. He's been here, got back, I think, either late Friday night or Saturday, and he's here for the weekend already starting this thing. Now you got to hire people. You've got to set the mission statement. Like, all of this stuff is probably in a book somewhere that he's built over the last handful of years, but you've got to tweak that and now go execute it. And I just think that part's wild. It's a lot. That's a lot going on, probably in someone's head and someone's mind and the emotions of it. And you've got to pace yourself to some degree. You can't do everything overnight. So that part to me is just a fascinating part of the process. And it's the first time he's going to run into some things where he thinks he knows, but you don't really know.
Right.
That's just the nature of it. And how do you handle some of those twists and turns? Like, did he watch the games yesterday, or is he working? Right? I mean, I maybe it's on the background, but probably working on the staff and everything else. We will see and hear from Liam Cohen later this afternoon. You can watch it on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Hey, I want to tell you about Jags Pal, Police Athletic League of Jacksonville, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network, the Brent and Austen Show, partnered up with Jags Pal, and you can help support the programs in Northeast Florida that give kids in our area a chance to play sports, be a part of after-school programs, go to summer camps, and attend events like Jags games as well. You can donate or be a part of the many locations around Jacksonville. All you have to do is visit jaxpal.org. Brent Martineau, Jason Hamby, Austen Lane in the middle of a workout. He'll come back at noon. We got the envelope game we got to pay off here today on the show as well. We could get another live report at noon on CBS 47 in the middle of the show. We've done that once before. We might do it again here today on the show. It's going to be a lot of TV for us in the Action Sports Jax department today. I have a chance actually after the news conference scheduled to sit down with Liam Cohen as well, so we'll be able to bring you that later today on TV and also throughout the rest of the week. So big day here in Jacksonville as the new era begins. Another era begins. Think about it from this standpoint. Is this the best starting point for a new coach in Jacksonville? And the answer doesn't have to be yes. But I'm a little curious because let's go through them. Mike Mularkey.
No.
No. Gus Bradley.
No.
Absolutely not. I mean, they ripped it down. That was one of the worst. Again, you get what they were doing, but they ripped it down too much. Mm-hmm. 2017, now it really worked. But I want you to, when Coughlin and Marrone got hired, and I was at the Clemson-Alabama National Championship game in Tampa on a Monday, was that team ready to do what it did in 2017? They did not have Calais Campbell at the time, right? They did not have Boye at the time. They did not have Fournette at the time. Like, there were things they didn't have, and the list probably goes on. So I don't feel like they were in a spot of, they still had to make a lot of moves. And by the way, they did. They made some good moves. You go to Urban. They were coming off a number one pick. And even though they got the quarterback,
you can make an argument.
It was pretty good because they went and got Marvin Jones. They went and got guys like Agnew that were a part of this thing.
Yeah, that helped out. Space, and you would have had a lot of leash with the number one overall pick.
But see, I liken that to the situation that maybe Vrabel just walked in New England. You still have to make a ton of good decisions. Mm-hmm. And so it's not there for you to just tweak, right? Sure. To really work on hey, I want my identity of this team and the play calling of the team and the scheme of this team. Like, you still had to do a lot of things. And listen, Cohen's going to have to do a lot of things, but he's not going to have to do as much as Vrabel's going to have to do in New England. Right. And their front office is going to have to do. I don't think, at least.
Right. It's definitely the most playoff-ready team. I don't know. Urban is it would be a different question, but his was a good setup as well, but for different reasons.
I think it's been a good setup in Jacksonville a lot, to your point. But I think you just said something maybe more eloquent than I was saying it. Is this the most playoff-ready team that a coach has walked into?
There's no doubt about it.
How about Doug?
No, you're coming off of an Urban Meyer season, and I get you had a good roster, but that team was pillaged with so many off the field disasters that distracted you from everything, and a quarterback who, you you wouldn't have said it the year before, but it was like, well, you have to do a makeover with him, and now you have. I mean, the floor is so much higher than it was then after coming off of an Urban season. It's 100%, no doubt about it, the most playoff ready team that a Jaguars coach has ever taken.
Yeah, I think it's. I didn't really think about this much. I just thought about it in the commercial break, but I think what you're saying is probably true. I mean, you have. Peterson had the franchise quarterback. Urban had the franchise quarterback, but Peterson had a franchise quarterback that, here's what Trent Baalke said one time to us. That, when asked, do you feel like Trevor's still a rookie coming off the Urban stuff? Mm-hmm. The thought in the building, I think it was Trent Baalke said, but the thought in the building was he was actually, it wasn't even level to the rookie season. It was behind a rookie season in year 2 because of the negative impact of Urban.
Right.
That's the way they viewed it in the building. It would be almost like a negative rookie, a notch below a rookie because of what they had to repair. Mm-hmm. So Doug was getting that Trevor Lawrence. Now, listen, Trevor was able to come out of it. Doug did a nice job. The staff did a nice job. I think they should always get credit for that and kind of fixing this and turning it in a new direction. And now you get, at least for Liam Cohen, you get a quarterback that at least is in a right frame of mind, right? Who's been experienced. And I like that. He's been through 4 of these now, 4 years. He's had the good and the bad. He's seen the good. He's seen the bad. And I would hope odds on you're going to get a healthy Trevor Lawrence. So just there alone, you've got a guy that is hungry, right, healthy, and I would say experience. He's played more than 50 games in the NFL. That's a good experienced quarterback that you still have some untapped stuff to get into. So you can still influence in a very big and positive way. And then this is the curious part of this question for me is, yes, is this a playoff-ready team? Well, yeah, but how wrong were we about the roster? Were we more right or were we more wrong? What do they think of the roster? Are they going to pull it back and say, oh, wait, we need to do a bunch of stuff that you guys aren't seeing? Are they stuck with the roster because of the finances of this roster and the contracts of this roster, even in places where they don't want to be? Maybe a Gabe Davis, who makes a total sense to be here, by the way, is going to cost $4 or $5 million this year. But is that a guy that they would really want? Would they draft somebody instead? Do they have to do something with Ingram or Kirk? Are they stuck with now that Walker Little contract at left tackle, even though they would? I believe somebody would have thought maybe different about the Walker Little situation. And at number 5, you would maybe pick left tackle. Are you going to do that now? So I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Yes, Hamby, you're right. I think playoff ready. These guys have actually been to the playoffs with a lot of these football players on the roster. But in some of those spots, it's aging, it's expensive, and you might be able to do something different if you had more wiggle room to do that, more flexibility. There's not a lot of flexibility, I think, without eating dead money on this roster right now for Liam Cohen. So how do you elevate it? If you're the GM and Liam Cohen, it can't just be coaching, right? Again, Doug Peterson, he might not have been as good as you want him to be here in Jacksonville, and quite frankly, he wasn't, but he's not a bad coach. We know that. So how much can you just elevate off scheme and coaching? And maybe that's more than I even think. But how much can they do with this roster? So, yeah, I tend to agree with you. I do think it's playoff ready, but I also caution that.
Right.
That is it as much as we think? Because it turns out this was a 4-win team this year.
Yeah.
With this roster, sure, injuries, but it wasn't as good as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and look, that's why I'm always careful with trying to make or putting everything into off-season acquisitions. Because we made off-season acquisitions last year that we thought were going to elevate our team, and it just didn't happen. And at the time, now, if you want to be the guy who, in hindsight, I told you so, Eric Armstead wasn't going to be good. I told you we overpaid for Gabe Davis. I told you Ronald Darby wasn't worth a couple of $1 million a year. That'd be my guess. But at the end of the day, I would say that you're probably lying to yourself if you didn't think our roster was in better shape coming off of the 2023 season than it was than not. So you're going to think that you're going to upgrade. However, obviously it didn't make a difference, or it was a negative impact last year. So I feel like because of that, you can't depend on all of those. I don't think we're going to make a huge splash in free agency at any position. And if you do think so, then what position? Right? Off the top of your head, if we were to make a big splash, where would it be? I couldn't tell you. So it's got to be through the draft, and it's got to be through the scheme. It has to be through the scheme. And now, saying that means that you think that we were a good scheme away from being a playoff team last year. Well, I agree. I think so too. Injuries and a scheme away from being that's why you fired Doug Peterson. That's why Nielsen gets a lot of finger pointing. So if you can fix the scheme, I think right away, as we've said, we think the Jags are going to be a good football team next year because they have good players. And that backs up the whole playoff ready thing.
Yeah.
But I think it just, that you're depending, unfortunately, on a lot of guys that you don't know a whole lot about. We're putting a lot of trust in Liam Cohen, a lot of trust in whoever he hires at his coordinator spots, because the offseason acquisitions, and then you're going to depend on a bunch of rookies to elevate you that much. I mean, you hope that they improve your roster and the holes that you have, but it's not like we're going to have a big roster jump from last year to this year. It's pretty much going to be the exact same roster, give or take a few players.
We have avoided a lot of the draft talk around here, but there's a question that I've kind of had running through my mind, more often than not. And I know I see people saying Mason Graham. I think Mason Graham would be a great pick for what this team needs, right? Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Is he going to be around at number 5? But I'm going to ask this because it's definitely the more fun topic. Does Liam Cohen being the head coach in Jacksonville make it more likely or less likely the Jaguars would take a run and draft the Travis Hunter?
That's a good question. I mean, obviously, your first thought is offense and a guy who can make plays on offense. But I don't know. I feel like there's not a guarantee that Travis Hunter's going to play receiver.
Well, that's why I asked the question.
So,
like if Saleh or Patrick Graham or somebody like that got, or Aaron Glenn got the job, I could ask the same question.
Yeah.
Right? And you might actually say more because, well, I think he's a corner.
Right. Look, I'll say this. On the flip side, the first thing I think of is as the Bucs offensive coordinator going up against Vita Vea every single day in and day out during practice, your own team, I hope he realizes what a monster that guy is and be like, okay, where's that? For the Jaguars, let's take Mason Graham. Because for the last month, I've said, I'm out on draft talk. I want this guy, and I don't even want to entertain anybody else.
Yeah, by the way, I just saw a stat from last night's game. Chris Jones was blocked one-on-one 11 times. He got 7 pressures on those 11 snaps.
And we watched what Jalen Carter did in the game before that.
It's becoming such a premier position. Like, you don't get to this point without those guys. I mean, look, even Buffalo. Now I'm losing. Who's 91? Lost my train of thought on
Ed Oliver.
Ed Oliver's had a very nice. He's a big impact player for them, right? So, you've got to be good in that spot. But anyway, I think the Jags are going to go a big fella because there's 2 ways to look at that. You better be able to block that dude too,
right?
Right. And if everybody's got that dude, you better be able to block him. But I think you need that guy. Now, is Mason Smith that guy? Is Devon Hamilton that guy? I kind of feel like that's running its course. Unfortunately, I think that kind of changed for him, unfortunately. But bottom line is, I'm just asking on the Travis Hunter front. I just keep thinking about it. I'm like, all right, Liam Cohen, is he going to want to utilize a guy like that? Does he play offense? Does he play defense? Is that like a fun... Again, this could be a new wave, not this old way. Like, old Jags don't take that.
No,
Trent Baalke's not taking that guy. The Jags don't go back-to-back wide receivers in the draft.
Right.
Like, could the Arizona kid be in play? Because it's Liam Cohen as the head coach, and, hey, we're going to continue to build around the quarterback and just make this as dangerous can be and as good can be around our quarterback. Because I think it's always an interesting deal where you settle or where you keep going. Look what I say about the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. They went and got a $13 million guy in Saquon Barkley, and the Jags got a $13 million guy in Gabe Davis. The Jags would never even sniff Saquon Barkley or even Derrick Henry because they would have been like, hey, we're good with Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. We're already committed.
Mm-hmm.
No, the Eagles, I know they weren't as committed to backs like that, but they also were like, we can do better.
Right.
So are the Jags going to change that? Do you have to start thinking a little bit more like that where, hey, we can do even better than what we've got, even if it looks like we're all set? I think there's so many pieces to the puzzle you can get talked into or talk yourself into saying, hey, we're pretty good here. I feel pretty good. You can do worse. I hear that a lot. In off the record stuff and everything else from people. It's like, hey, the offensive line, you can do worse. I get it. You can do worse, but you can do better, right? So that's where do you draw that line, and what positions do you value to the point that you can do better? And I would think the trenches are going to be those positions. I don't know if receiver will. To answer my own question on Travis Hunter, I'll answer my own question. I think it does. Like, that's why I wouldn't ask the question if I thought when Liam Cohen or if it was Joe Brady, if it was Ben Johnson. I think it does, but I think you also have to remember, like in my mind, it makes Travis Hunter more in play, or receiver in general more in play, because I think they know what the chess pieces in their mind have to look like for their offense to run ideally. But then I get reeled back in by this thought. Forget about the defensive side of the ball for a second. I get reeled back in by all these guys that we talked about in this cycle on the offensive side have done what? Also well. They've found the running game. Ben Johnson, they lean on the running game. They look what Cohen did in Tampa on the running game. Even if we want to talk Joe Brady and Monken, look what they did in the running game. That's where the secret sauce has been. So that, I don't think they're going out and getting a running back at number 5.
Sure.
But can they find an upgrade in free agency or in this draft on even the offensive line? Or how do they view the Jags offensive line? Is it good enough to do the things that they wanted to do in places like Tampa and Detroit? We don't think so here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But they're also kind of contractually limited at this stage to what they can do without eating some money.
Brent, I'm actually going to go the opposite direction on the receivers. Not on the offensive line. I think he could definitely upgrade there, and I think he sees the priority of that. But it kind of goes to Coach Ripley in the chat. He asked, do you think that maybe, just maybe, Liam Cohen can unlock our receiving core? Liam Cohen, I don't think he's going to go after a top receiving core candidate or a receiver in the draft or in free agency, because in his mind, and it comes with the confidence needed to become a head coach, he said, this is what I have to work with. If anybody's going to get help, it's going to be the guys that I'm not working with, because I have confidence in myself that I'm going to unlock the guys that are already here. So I'm not going to go get T-Mac or Luther Burden or Travis Hunter, because I can do well with what we have. And I'm not going to use our spare resources to help me when there's other situations, right? I just came from Tampa Bay when Chris Godwin, my top target, went down, and I unlocked McMillan, and I unlocked Kate Otten. I'll do that in Jacksonville. We need other things. I'll allow the resources to go to the defense or the offensive line. And that's that. Like, that comes with that confidence that I'm not saying that he won't, but I'm saying it's hard to come in as a new head coach also and be like, hey, I know y'all just hired me because y'all thought that I could get the most out of the players that are already on the roster, but also I'm going to need you to spend your first-round pick on a receiver because I need that as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Keep in mind, they're not going, I don't think, that's the one thing you talk about this roster and Shad, and they want to go through the draft more and more, right? They wanted to stop spending so much money. Now he'll spend it, but they have like $35 million in cap space, I think it is right now, and they could free some more up. But I just and so they can make some splash moves in free agency. I just don't know if they're going to go crazy in free agency. I never eyed this March as being a crazy free agency period, but will that change a little bit because of a new staff, where you can, bam, go make an impact right away here in Jacksonville with the team that you have? And I do think it's, you say unlock the receivers. I feel like I will say this. I mean, Trevor and Doug and that last regime, they kind of did. Those guys had career years.
Right.
These are career years with Kirk and Ingram. And obviously Brian Thomas just did that.
Right.
So we're not talking about like an overrated receiving group. Now, they've been banged up a little bit too much. So what could Liam Cohen do with that? Where does he put the emphasis at where the biggest upgrade could be? And quite frankly, the answer to that question is definitely running the football to help your quarterback out. It's running the football to help your quarterback out.
Mm-hmm.
That's really where the answer is. But what do you – I don't know if they're just going to go get another running back. I don't know if they're going to get 3 more offensive linemen to do that.
Right.
What does that look like in terms of the puzzle pieces here in Jacksonville? I think this is a bit fascinating because they want to do it. Like you got the job in essence because you went 32nd to 4th in rushing.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield had his best year. Why? Because you went 32nd to 4th in rushing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find a way to duplicate that. I don't even know what the Jags were in rushing this year, but I don't think it was great.
Great question. It couldn't have been good.
It can't be good.
It couldn't be.
Yeah, I think that's the emphasis, and we're going to see receivers, and maybe receivers help too. You can, by the way, you get receivers who can block a little bit. They're bought in. You're physical in that part of the game. We've seen that with places like Philadelphia. And just the physical presence of even their receiving group. Can the Jags get that? You just don't feel like they're physical enough on both sides of the ball. What do you get? Anything?
26th in the NFL in total rushing yards.
Okay. I think that's the stat the Tampa was 32nd in a couple years ago.
Yeah, and they were 4th this year.
Yep.
Behind only the Ravens, Eagles, and Commanders.
Do in the drop down, see if you can do the yards per carry just for fun. That's always an interesting one to me.
Let's see.
And it's always
middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack for the Jags?
Yep.
Yeah, see, and that doesn't tell the truth as much because when you're trailing, you're not going to run the football as much, right?
Right.
And so the Jags obviously at 4 and 13 yards per carry. I bet they had less rushes than a lot of people in the National Football League would be my guess, just based on their performance and the scoreboard.
Only 6 teams had fewer rushing attempts than we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Buccaneers had like 70 more attempts.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is a side note, but it seems like it resurfaces every single weekend, at least on my Twitter, of everybody hating on Travis Etienne. Like, how good did you expect him to be running 12 to 13 times a game? Now, I get there was a couple of plays where he could have hit that hole better. Maybe he didn't look as flashy as he did a year or two ago, but I don't know exactly. We're trailing in every single game. He's never going to get 22 carries and be able to actually put a full day's work in and show off his full set. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I am an ETN fan. How do you get the bet again? How do you unlock him? The Jags.
Yeah, he definitely needs to be unlocked.
Yeah,
but it's not time to move on.
And part of that is a vision. Again, like, who is the guy? I thought the Jags handled this poorly, and I knew they were going to be. I thought it was a hard thing to do. I do think it's a hard thing to do. It looked like at times Bigsby was the better runner.
Yes.
Right? So they were like, oh, we got to get Bigsby more involved. He seems like he's got the hot hand. At one time, he was averaging like 6.5 yards a carry. How do you keep him out of the game? Right. But they never could figure out the balance. And then if you have no rhythm in your running back room, that's going to be a difficult thing for a back. And so he never got a feel. Travis Etienne never got in a rhythm this year. Never.
Not one time.
I think Tank had a better chance to at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was the guy that on occasion would get 18 to 20, 21 carries. I don't know how they want to handle that. What do they do with that? Do they just turn Etienne into that third down back type of guy and say, hey, we're going to go with Bigsby? I don't know. But they've got to come in and address that, and I think they have to identify that and figure that out. There are many teams that have been able to figure out the multiple back situation and done it very well. And you almost need that now. But you've got to be able to manage it. You got to be able to figure it out. I felt like the Jags were guessing at that at times. I didn't think they had a good plan for that. I didn't think they knew what to do. All you have to do is go back to the London game when I think Etienne was hurt. It's like, oh, no, you don't lose your job due to injury. Like, Etienne will be our guy. But it's like, well, the performance said, and the actual amount of carries said Bigsby was the guy. Mm-hmm. See what I mean about the gray area? That's where the gray area comes back up. I really think that stuff hurt Doug. No gray area, folks. Like, we want to run the ball. We're going to run the ball. These are our guys. We're going to do it together. Whatever it is. Identify it, live with it, and I guess develop it. But you can't change every quarter or every game, too. You got to you got to find some consistency in what you're trying to do there. And it'll be interesting to see if they even bring in another back. and to compete and maybe take one of those guys' jobs?
Yeah.
Could you even trade some of these folks potentially out there on the offensive side if you think there are better pieces, more inexpensive pieces, whatever it might be? A lot of decisions to be made by Liam Cohen and the Jacksonville Jaguars and the future GM, and they've got to make the right ones. That's what we keep saying. You're not going to make every decision be right, but man, doesn't it feel like the Eagles have made every decision right? They haven't, but it feels like they have. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it feel like the Chiefs make every decision right? It does. They haven't, but it feels that way. Same goes with the Lions. Same goes with Washington this year. Like, there are a lot of great stories. I mean, the story of just Zach Bond alone in Philly. This guy was like a special teamer.
Right.
And they went and grabbed him, and he's a stud. Mm-hmm. How do you make those kind of decisions and make the right ones? Jags need some of those decisions. Hey, let's do this. Take a time out. We'll come back, and when we do come back, we'll talk a letter to Liam I wrote. So we'll have that for you on the way. We also still have the envelope game to come at noon. Austin will join us once again. Hey, Happy New Year from everyone at Nimnick Buick GMC, by the way. As you take a look at where Super Bowl 59 will be on Fox 30. As we begin 2025, Nimnick is excited to offer even more choices and better prices for you. If you're wondering where to go for a better buying experience, it's simple. Nobody but Nimnick. NimnickBuickGMC.com. Nimnick Buick GMC on Phillips Highway. GMC. We are professional grade. Drive all the way to New Orleans. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness, and most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade. Happy New Year for the UNF Ospreys, and basketball season is in the teeth of conference play right now. A slow start for the men's team out of the gates with 3 straight losses, but then they broke through in the win column with a win over Bellarmine. The offense scored 98 points in that one. A long way to go, including a stretch the next few weeks with a chance to go on a winning streak. 8 home games in the next 3 weeks for the men's and women's basketball team combined. So check out UNFOspreys.com for the latest in news, schedules, results, and tickets. UNF Arena is a great place to watch a game, so go check them out. And while the hoop teams are battling some snow while on the road, the spring sports season has already arrived with the men's tennis program notching its first win under new coach John Collins. Swoop with the Ospreys in the winter and the spring, inside and outside. Check out UNFOspreys.com for all things Ospreys. I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Right now, save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
New to town or always been in town, everyone is always looking for a good pizza place. Our place is Donato's Pizza. We love it and still do love it. When I tell my family I'm coming to Donato's, they say, wait a minute, you got to order some for us. So this is not all for me. Let me tell you what the Martineaus get when we put an order in. Well, pepperoni pizza, we usually get more than one of these. And then there's the works, a little bit of everything. And then this is the pizza that can be polarizing for some out there. I don't know why. Hawaiian pizza. Some love it, some don't. At Donato's, you're going to love it, especially with that cinnamon sprinkled on top. Try the pizza my family likes or try your favorite. Right now, you can use the code BRENT20 and get 20% off your order. Every viewer and listener is important to us, and at Donato's Pizza, every piece is important. From fresh ingredients to the dedicated team members and you, the valued customer. Donato's Pizza, where every piece comes together for a winning combination. Jax Beach and Mandarin locations. Donato's Pizza, every piece is important.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
A couple of huge wins this weekend for the Jacksonville Iceman as they are able to beat the Orlando Solar Bears, although that's the Solar Bears scoring. And there we go. There's an Iceman shot. Go. That's soccer. But the Iceman got a couple wins. They were tied with the Solar Bears, I think 47 points, and then they won in front of 12,000 on Saturday night. That game was on MyTV Jackson. Then they go down to Orlando, and they beat the Solar Bears. So a good couple wins this weekend for the Iceman. They'll play actually a game tomorrow night, and then Friday night as well on MyTV Jax. So you can watch a Jacksonville Iceman once again on MyTV Jax. Pretty cool. We've been able to bring a couple of games this year, and we've got a few more to go. Friday, and then I think there's March 1st and another one in April as well. Here's how you can watch the game against the Savannah Ghost Pirates on Friday night, and 30.2 is on the antenna, and then you can see it all on Xfinity, Uverse, AT&T Uverse, DirecTV, Dish TV as well. That's how you find MyTV Jax, Action Sports Jax, bringing you the Iceman games on TV here in 2024 and the 25 season. No comment, Ampy's burn. Yeah, didn't go so well for that big Orlando Solar Bears fans. But we did show you a goal, though, from Orlando. So we got that going. There's also another big announcement, by the way, happening today. It's a busy day. And we got Liam Cohen, of course, at 3:30. But at 2 o'clock, Stuart Weber will be down at the Igloo. And part of the group that owns the Jacksonville Icemen are helping make an announcement. And it's got nothing to do with hockey, from everything I understand. And it's going to be a pretty significant announcement. It's a kind of pretty cool announcement. We will have that for you live right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. So at 2 o'clock, we're going to play that news conference from the Igloo, and you'll get the news first right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. And then, of course, we'll have at 3:30 the Liam Cohen news conference. That one is live on TV on CBS 47 and Fox 30. And so as you look at Everbank, and you can see the video boards already have a welcome to Liam Cohen. So it'll be a little bit of a photo shoot there. It'll be interesting to ask him about the whole gymnastics of the next few years. And does that matter to him? It obviously didn't factor into him taking the job. But it'll be an interesting few years for the guy who's leading the charge in Jacksonville, just logistics-wise alone in 26 and 27. So one of the things last night, I had an idea. Must be stuck on mailboxes lately with the envelope game and a letter to Liam. So figured we would, on the eve of him being introduced, say, hey, here's what you need to know about Jacksonville. And a couple of suggestions as well. And we played this last night on Action Sports Jax Primetime. Dear Liam, welcome to Jacksonville. You and your family are going to love it. There's a reason so many former players and coaches still live in the area. It's one of the best kept secrets in the country. This fan base now has endured a lot. 3 winning seasons in the last 17 years. Back-to-back winning seasons once in the last 2 decades. Back-to-back playoff appearances haven't happened in 25 years. The fan base is awesome. They already have your back. They defend their own. They also demand success. And when you win around here, the scene is pretty awesome. Trevor Lawrence is the perfect franchise quarterback, Liam. He says and does all the right things. Jacksonville loves him. He's yet to be fully unlocked in the NFL, but well, that's why you're here. This football team has more talent than 4 wins. I think it's a football team that will be hungry to get it right in 2025. You'll find out. So the decision to come to Jacksonville is a good one, maybe a great one. The scoreboard and wins certainly matter most, but there's a lot more to sustaining success, as you know. Alignment, identity, relationships, transparency, messaging. This is your building, and this is your team. Good luck hiring a staff and filling out those offices. The Jags have one of the best special teams units in the league, so you might want to keep Heath Farwell around. Just an idea.
59-yard try to take the lead, and it's got the aim, and it's got the distance.
One of the biggest decisions is finding a partner at the GM position. Alignment is important, and the Jaguars have lacked in that department. I think you have to be able to answer this question. Who are the Jacksonville Jaguars? It should be an easy answer, but it's been a riddle for quite some time now. What is the mission statement? What is the identity? What is the culture when you walk through the doors at the Miller Electric Center and when a team walks onto the field to play you at Everbank Stadium? There are good people in that building, but they've had a tough job. They will root for you, but make them a part of the journey. It might be nice to go shake hands with those folks in the business office trying to sell tickets. It hasn't always been easy. The relationships with everyone in the organization build belief and trust. Hey, this thing matters too in Jacksonville. I'm talking about the microphone. Everyone is listening to every word. I think the Jaguars have been lacking transparency. We get it. You can't tell fans everything, but the fans want to feel like they are along for the ride. They want you to know how they feel, and they certainly will. This is a place where you can shake hands with the fans at events, the grocery store, and local restaurants. Hey, these might sound like simple things, but when things don't go as planned, and that always happens at some point in the NFL, these are things that build equity, trust, and long-lasting belief. Hey, you made a great decision. The place is awesome around here. Jacksonville is growing. There's a new stadium on the horizon. It's going to be a great ride for the rest of the decade. Oh, and one more thing. If you say you're going to call plays, make sure you call plays. Good luck and welcome to Jacksonville. All right, there's my letter to Liam. What else would you tell him? What did we miss?
I don't think you missed anything. I would have said, Liam, you'll never be as important as Trevor Lawrence. That's not your fault. No shade to you. But whether Trevor Lawrence goes down as legitimately a bust relative to what his stock was, what he was made up to be, or a top 5 quarterback, what he was built up to be, is almost fully dependent on you. We thought that was on Doug, but that's based off of the contract, based off of where Trevor's at in his career, based off of his age. That's your number one job. I don't think that can be harped on enough. That's like we said a couple weeks ago. As soon as Doug was first fired, Brent. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Fans would almost rather see the Jaguars have unlocked Trevor Lawrence with a high-powered offense and scoring 4 touchdowns plus a game, and Trevor Lawrence playing up to that, what we've stood and taken stones and arrows fans have for him these last 3 years, and go 8-9, 9-8, year in and year out, and year in and year out, then have one deep playoff run, losing season, one deep playoff run. Trevor is the key to everything. And if you want to go about that the roundabout way by getting to the run game first, no problem. Don't care how you do it. But Trevor Lawrence is the most important thing.
Yeah. And I think, Yeah, I think he is. I think he is. And listen, the point of that was the football side of it is the football side of it. Everybody, we know what the football side. You got to build a team. You got to build a really good team. But I do think, and I'm just going to continue to trumpet it because I believe it, and I've said it for over a year now, that there are more things. Don't just get caught. Like they can't get. This isn't on you, the fans. That's what I'm saying. Like this is not your job. This is not. You don't need to have perspective on this, quite frankly. But the organization does. Like there are a lot of other things that kind of went wrong in the last 15 months that were a little surprising to me that it went wrong in 15 months. You know, I did not see it coming, and I think there are some easy things to do to help that out throughout the course of Liam Cohen's tenure and the start of this thing. But this is where you reset that stuff. This is where you can do it. The one beautiful thing, we didn't get it right away, but Schott figured it out, and whatever led to it is fine. They reset it. And so when you reset it, you don't have, oh yeah, but we've been doing it this way, so let's stay on track, and now let's try to plug this guy into it. You don't have to worry about that. You can reset it. You can't reset 53 men on a roster, okay? You can't reset the entire building. To Sean's point, 85 guys. You don't need to do that on the football side. But you can reset a lot of different things. You can give it a new paint job. You can put new signs on the wall. You can do the things that you've been lacking.
Yeah.
Again, this team has not had an identity or a who are the Jags answer since 2017 and 18, quite frankly. And that was because of Tom Coughlin and also because of Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. We knew who they were. But there's not a team in the league that does well that you really don't know who they are to some degree. And I really think that's the overarching thing. And then all these other things are smaller. I mean, will they care about the microphone mattering? I don't know. I think he should. I think it's okay to get out and about with the folks here in town. I mean, again, watch how your franchise quarterback does that. Part of the reason we are still big believers, and I say we as a whole, I would probably be anyway, but why everybody's still all on the Trevor train for the most part in Jacksonville is because they feel like they know him. They're watching him grow up as a guy who got here at 21 years old, but they see him out. Everybody in town already has a picture with Trevor Lawrence probably. You know, they've seen him. I get a story of seeing him here, seeing him there.
Yep.
You didn't have those stories with Doug, I don't think.
Right.
And I'm not saying the coach needs to be that all the time. You can't go to everything. You can't always be out. But I think like a Liam Cohen should be able to be felt. He should be out at the beach sometimes.
Yeah.
Whether it's with his family, whether it's for dinner, he should be able to say hi to folks, and people should see him, feel him, get to know him a little bit. Mm-hmm. And don't give me the, you don't have time for it. Yeah, you got time. Trust me. You got time for that. And it's going to behoove you to do it. It's going to pay off in the long run to do it because, again, this is not going to be all good. It's never all good. It's just not. Like, it's the NFL. It doesn't always go as planned, a la 4-13 this year, right? So even if things go well in this tenure, there are going to be some rocky moments, but I do think that's where you build this belief that, hey, even through the tougher times, the rocky times, I know that dude. I like that guy.
Yeah.
I believe what he's saying. So you can't do that with everything. There'll always be the naysayers and the critics, especially in a microscopic league the way the NFL is. But I think you can build some of that internally and externally here in Jacksonville. That I don't think you do that in New York. Like, I don't think you do. I don't think you do that as much in Chicago. I don't know if you do it. Maybe you do. But we're talking about Buffalo, Green Bay, Jacksonville. That's more like it in these kind of areas. It's a different place. Ask anybody who's been here and been in other spots. They'll tell you it's a different place.
Right.
So somebody's got to tell Liam Cohen that, too. Like, he's got to know it. This is a unique place. This isn't even Tampa, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, look, and to add on to that, if I had to tell him two more things, non-football related, I would tell him, first of all, Liam, please be the same person every day. We didn't have that last year. We didn't know quite what to expect from our head coach at times. That goes back to what you were saying on the microphone. But be the same person every day, even if it gets old at times, right? Bring the same kind of energy. Don't be this way after, a couple of straight wins and a couple of straight losses. That's how you sustain winning programs for multiple years. How does Tomlin do it for a decade? How does Harbaugh do it for a decade? How does Reid do it? Because they're the same. They're the same. They take everything within stride. Second, I would say at the same time, don't be afraid to show some emotion. And here's why. The Jaguars are 30 years old. The majority of this fan base that pays to go see the product, to go to the stadium, who's locked in on shows like this, who's locked in, are your age, Liam. Like, take advantage of that. Take advantage of that. You're 38. That's what the majority of the fan base is. Like, don't be afraid to show some emotion. Don't be afraid to show a little personality outside of just football all of the time. That will play to your advantage. The more people know about who you are. I mean, forbid that we see more than just a little smile after a big touchdown in a game. You go back, we've played it on the show because it's one of the very few interactions between Baalke and Peterson that we have when they're not in suits, is after the Chargers win in the tunnel where Doug is fired up and we don't even know what he's doing because he's pointing to his neck, and Baalke and him hug. Yeah, and it's like, that's the most emotion I ever saw from Doug Peterson. I can't name a second time. Right, that plays to your advantage. Maybe that's not the old way of doing things. Well, Jacksonville's fan base is not the old way, period.
Yeah, it's a good point. Listen, again, these are little things. I don't think you can. I don't like it to be manufactured, right? Mm-hmm. I just think you can keep it in mind. And so here's the deal. This isn't all on Liam Cohen.
100%.
This is on the Jags organization to also help him out. You talk about serving the coach, which Shad Khan mentioned. Well, then, yeah, that's part of serving the coach. Like, you've got to do that, too. You've got to help with the transparency and the messaging and watch which way this goes and have potholes. You know it, too. Like, a lot of the people that are in the building know this organization. Don't be afraid to share that stuff. You know better, quite frankly, of what just went wrong. I think it's part of the organization has to do that too. I'm not talking about one specific person. I think as a whole, the organization has to do that. And again, that was one of my big things with Tony Boselli being in a role, not necessarily EVP. I think this helps because that's a guy that might be able to just say, "Hey, dude, you got to get out here and do this. Like, this is a really good idea. Go to this event, whatever it might be." So anyway, it'll be interesting to watch. You know, the other thing I thought about. And we're going to hop on a break here. We're going to do some live TV on the other side of this. And we got the envelope game still. Austin will join us again. I also want to talk a little bit more about what you just said on Trevor Lawrence, so don't let me forget that part, and how he can unlock him, and can he? What does that look like? And why do we still believe there's so much more in there? But I kind of wonder, when you're 39 years old, there's a quote out of the Pewter Report that somebody brought up, and it was Raheem Morris talking about him when he went to Tampa. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about Liam Cohen. He's like, yeah, he's a stylish guy. He likes like the Lululemon stuff and everything else. And we already saw him in that like pinkish red blazer, you know. And
when he dapped up Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, he's a guy like you could see at the Derby, right? The Kentucky Derby. And going to have a good time. Like, that's okay. Like, why not? Have a little style, have a little fun, have a little flair. And I was thinking of, are we going to get to a point where we have a news conference like today? And there's probably plenty of reasons not to do it this way, but I thought, and the Jags could pull this off. I mean, we couldn't pull this off, but the Jags could pull this off. Why not have today's news conference at Daly's place with fans? Mm-hmm. Like, just have this, like, just even something different like that. Well, and so I just thought about it and just saying it out loud. I'm not criticizing the Jags for not doing it that way. There's a lot of different reasons why you wouldn't do that from behind the scenes standpoint. Totally get it. But I just wonder if he'll do some things that are a little fresh. Mm-hmm. They're not the old, like the league operates like in a march,
right?
Sometimes. Can you do some things that are a little outside that march? And some people do. Dan Campbell did.
Right.
Dan Campbell marched to a different beat. Does Liam Cohen have some of that? Does he fall in line with the rest of the league? You got to do it this way. And on some things, I'm sure he will, but will we see some things a little bit different? And I think that part's kind of fun if he can. I don't even know what that looks like. But I'm sure there's some things that hey, why not? And again, part of this is personality. Part of this, what is he like? Is he old school guy? Is he new school guy? Like, we're going to get a good feel for that, I think, coming up today at the news conference. You'll hear it on CBS 47 and Fox 30, by the way. Hey, this was cool. I was over there yesterday. Used to the old landfill, Sunbeam Road. The landfill, closed down 40 years ago. And now they've made it into trek trails where you can go walk it, you can go bike it. And yesterday they had an icebreaker challenge. And part of it was, this is an 8-mile loop mountain biking. I mean, this does not look easy. 8 laps around that thing. 6 hours of this for some in the endurance race. We had these guys on Friday, and we'll do some more out there and have a show at some point because it was a cool place. The elevation's terrific there, too. And it was a beautiful day on Sunday, so congratulations to everybody. Uh-oh. We're going to do a challenge here at Action Sports Jacks. We're going mountain biking around the trail.
Let's do it.
I think we should e-bike, though, instead.
Oh.
We'll be right back. It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to String Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now, the newest hot spot at the beach is open. String Sports Brewery in Jacks Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant. Or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic. He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk. It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the String Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you. Hey, welcome back here to String Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jacks Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it. String Sports Brewery, now with 2 locations in Springfield and now open in Jacks Beach on Penman Road.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
They sit in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, save 10% off a new Rinnai tankless water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
Here on Spring Sports Media Day on Action Sports Jacks.
It's an opportunity, an education beyond the classroom and the sports arena. Life skills, testing skills, social skills. It's called High School 912, a program focused on maximizing the growth of students in academics, sports, and life. And here's your chance to get involved. If you're a local business, or if you just want to make a donation to help support programs like ACT and SAT boot camps, career days, Leadership Academy, Financial Literacy Academy, and so much more.
Another Nice High School Panther, Jack Cole.
High School 912 supports and hosts high school sporting events and several media days throughout the year. For more information on how you can get involved, visit jackshighschool912.com.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years, and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Yeah! Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports is local sports. From Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast. Bakersport.com.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Well, there's Liam Cohen walking in the Miller Electric Center and into the building today, and wearing that Jags logo. He's actually been there all weekend, from what I understand. But there's the shot, and the Jaguars pushing that out just moments ago. So welcome to Liam Cohen to Jacksonville, and a lot of work to be done for the Jacksonville Jaguars to get where so many would love to be, and that is in the Super Bowl, like the Eagles and the Chiefs. Brent Martineau along with Jason Hamby. So, hey, here's the deal. We're about 2 minutes away from doing a live TV hit on CBS 47. We've done this in the past. So right now I'm listening to Phil Amato in my ear and also our show at the same time. And it's probably take about a minute and a half hit here on TV. So we will be like silent during this. Well, not silent. You'll hear the hit. You won't see the video, though. That's what I learned the last time, Hamby. You won't see everything that's playing out on TV.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on CBS 47 if you want to watch both at the same time. And then we're going to do the envelope game. We're going to talk a little bit more about Trevor Lawrence. Have the Bills just missed their chance to really do this thing these last couple of years? They had a home game and they couldn't get it done. And now this. So we'll talk all about that coming up in just a bit, as the Chiefs and Eagles will play on Fox 30 in Super Bowl 59. All right. There's going to be some awkward moment here or two because I'm just waiting for the TV hit coming up here in just a second, which I think I'll probably... Should I take the headphones off? What the heck? We'll keep the headphones on. We'll look a little better, though, with this wiring.
Not a baby.
Yeah. Professional operation, people. No water in there. All right. Got to get it all set up for the TV folks on CBS 47. Basically, we're just getting you all set for a 3:30 news conference, which is coming up today from Jags headquarters, and you can watch it live on CBS 47 and Fox 30, and we'll have all the coverage tonight, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 6:30, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So we're coming up soon. The other big note, I can do like noontime news here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, Todd Golden.
Yes.
Has been no wrongdoing, they've found.
Right, no violation of Title IX. So fans already going to want a contract extension probably for him now that that's under the rug.
Yeah, the Gators are really good. We got about less than 60 seconds before we're doing this TV hit. But, yeah, it's huge news. And I was saying to you, I was like, they probably wanted to get this thing all cleared out and done at least. The no violation of Title IX is a big deal.
Right.
So now this cleans out before maybe a March Madness run where it would have been a dominating story by everybody around the nation. I'm not saying it won't be a story of some degree, but if there's no wrongdoing here, then that absolves him.
Right.
And it's an odd story, actually, out of Gainesville earlier this year. So good news, I think, for the Florida Gators, and obviously their basketball team is very good.
Put a whooping on Georgia.
They put a whooping on Georgia. They play Tennessee on Saturday. All right, so here we go. It's going to be a little awkward, but we've got about 15 seconds before we're getting going here on the TV side of things, a live hit on CBS 47.
Glenn C. says, a clunky moment.
Yeah. Oh, what a wild search it was. Obviously caught the NFL by storm what transpired last week, but what a comeback by the Jags on Wednesday and then into Thursday. A wild 30 hours that landed Liam Cohen. He is in the Jaguars building and has been all weekend, all ready to work, trying to put together a staff. The Jags will still need a new GM. They're going to remake this front office as well. So today's a big day here in Jacksonville for Liam Cohen. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot to play with this locker room, and obviously Trevor Lawrence as a franchise quarterback, but how quick can they make it right in Jacksonville? And now this is going to be a coach-centric team here in Jacksonville. This is all Liam Cohen, 39 years old. He gets his first chance as a head coach, and it's a good one here in Jacksonville. So what will he say to the fans? What will he say to the players? What will he say to the organization? We are going to find out at 3:30 today when Liam Cohen is introduced as the new Jaguars head coach, the 8th one in franchise history. He's an offensive guy, so there's a lot of excitement about what he can do to put points on the scoreboard in Jacksonville. 3:30 news conference. You can watch it live on CBS 47 and Fox 30. We'll be at Jags headquarters all afternoon and into the evening with live reports all day, and I'll get a chance to sit down with the new head coach of the Jaguars as well. Meanwhile, we're talking all about it right now on the Brent Austen Show as well on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. You can find it on actionnewsjax.com. Phil, back to you. All right, now we can go back live here on the show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. We're back with Brent and Austen Show, and that was TV right there in a nutshell. Hopefully it went okay. Thumbs up, Hamby? You seeing it on TV? Did it work out? We looked okay?
Look good.
All right. I don't know why we don't do this more often. Just a brief interruption, clunky interruption here on the show. But if you flipped your TV on at the same time, you could see how it all worked.
I had you on 8 screens over here.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's what we should be on. CBS 47, Fox 30, all the time if you're not on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, which you also can do with Action News Jax now app from your living room on all your smart TVs and everywhere you find us. And soon enough, well, actually right now, actionsportsjax.com, that's all you got to do. You can hit actionsportsjax.com. You go right to us on the website. But we're revamping things a little bit, so stay tuned. It'll be even easier than it has been to catch all the content on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Again, 3:30 today, news conference on CBS 47 and Fox 30 will be there for it. And at 2 o'clock today, there's another big news announcement here in Jacksonville. I think you're going to find this interesting, too. We're not going to let the cat out of the bag here, and I'll respect everybody putting this on, but you can see it at 2 o'clock right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. So seriously, that one isn't on TV. That one's right here. So you can go to actionsportsjax.com for that, and you'll be able to see it. 2 o'clock announcement down at the Igloo. It's got nothing to do with hockey, as far as we think and know. But a cool announcement coming, and we'll talk all about that a little bit later tonight on TV, but also tomorrow. All right, a couple quick things, and we'll get Austin back in here soon. I don't know when he's jumping back in, but Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's still so much belief in Trevor Lawrence. I feel like we used to be able to play the card of, okay, the Jags have done him wrong. They hired Urban Meyer. All right, that's not it. Now we're a little bit more of this onus is on Trevor.
Right.
Because Doug and company did some good things with Trevor, and we saw when it looked good. So we can't put it all on Press Taylor and Doug Peterson like everybody wants to. Some of this is on injuries. Got to stay healthy. So there's a little bit of, if you want to call it, blame. And it hasn't been all bad, so I'm not sure it's just blame. I mean, the guy won a playoff game in epic fashion. We saw him play really good football for a stretch. I thought he was starting to play really good football again last year around November and December, and then he got hurt. So I thought we were seeing it again 2 years in a row in the same part of the calendar. I think we saw not so great play earlier this past season, and then he was playing better, but the team wasn't.
Right.
So it's just real. You talk about clunky. It's been a clunky career in a weird way because you see some of the good. You don't see enough of the good. Whose fault is it? I think all these things come into play. But I would say one thing about it. There's belief still. There's 100%. Heavy belief in Jacksonville that he can be the guy. He is the guy. Well, you got no choice. He's under contract to be the guy. Yeah. But I do think there's belief that a guy like Liam Cohen can come in and these guys can click and figure it out. And that has to happen because some of the most successful quarterbacks we have in the league, I'll tell you one thing that doesn't happen very often, is you continue to change the people around them. So if we want to think of the dynasty that is Mahomes, well, it's Ben Reed and Mahomes. If we want to think of a couple-time MVP and Lamar Jackson, it's Lamar Jackson and Harbaugh. If we want to think of Josh Allen, who might be the MVP this year, well, they've developed this guy under McDermott, and I understand there have been different offensive guys, but it's still been the same head coach. How difficult is this getting for Trevor Lawrence when you've had 3 head coaches in 5 years, which, of course, comes with different systems, different voices, different offensive coordinators? Like, they got to settle on something soon, or we're never going to see the ceiling of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, but I don't agree. I don't agree. I think because we have so many examples this year of guys who we saw flashes, we saw some good, and then with a new offensive coordinator, like Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield are 2 of those guys. Like, and I understand that those guys are not having the staying power. Those guys are in different levels of their career. I get it. But I think there are very few guys who have had the same, maybe the very, very top tier guys have had the same kind of coaches and coordinators for multiple years, but a lot of the others have not. And I think this is exactly what you want. You had a guy who Baker Mayfield, Dave Canales came in and elevated him some, right? Just in the same way that Doug Peterson just elevated him some, and then Liam Coen took him to the next level. Well, Liam Cohen is supposed to take Trevor Lawrence to the next level here. So yeah, if he's got 6 different coordinators in 7 years, that's an issue, right? And you're like, well, nobody can fix them then. If 6 guys couldn't do it, but we've only been through 2. And on the second, if I had to imagine, there was probably a lot of differing opinions between Doug, Press, and Mike McCoy. Like, there could possibly have been, not one steady thing coming from that room. Not saying there was, not saying there wasn't. It's a possibility, right? But the fact that we're still only on 3 still gives me a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I respect it, but I don't believe it. And I get it. What you're telling me is some of the defensive guys have been able to overcome it. And it's nice that we've been able to see some of the defensive head coaches, by the way, so you get your offensive coordinators in. It's nice to see the Mayfields and everybody kind of figure it out at some point, or Darnold. But even that would come 3-4 years after where we are with Trevor right now. So, like, those are guys been around the block, and they finally figured out. I don't think you can bank on that. And they're still the exception. Jordan Love's an example here. Yeah, it's true. Same coach. So, like, you look at the guys who have had success, and you've got the same head man. You've got the same thing in the building. Now, listen, there's a reason why they've got the same head man, because they've gotten the most out of their quarterback. The quarterback probably is playing pretty well, so they win football games. Like, That's part of the equation. I get it. But you can't keep changing this up. Just ask Alex Smith. He had 7 in 7 years.
Yeah.
The Mayfields of this is not a good recipe for Baker Mayfield to go do what he did this past year.
Right.
I mean, I get it. He's been good, but it doesn't mean it's going to work this time. Sean McVay and Stafford, right? Look at even Ben Johnson. We'll see where Goff goes now with Ben Johnson being out of there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Hurts and Sirianni. Again, the best teams have continuity. The best teams don't change coaches because the best teams don't lose.
Right.
Understood. There's a pecking order here. But this has to be it, is my point. I'm not telling you that he'll never play good football in his career. I just wonder if he'll ever reach what he's got. Like, we all believe there's more in there for Trevor. Trevor knows there's more in there for Trevor. Everybody believes it. This has got to be the guy to tap into it. Because, I've said it to, I can't remember who I just recently said it to. It was one of the players. Maybe it was Kirk or somebody who was at a show late in the year. I was like, you can't keep stacking negative stuff on the quarterback of your football team.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. There's too much. And I'll give you a prime example. Josh Allen is going to win the MVP award, in my opinion. He's a fantastic player. He played like he had the weight of the world on his shoulders yesterday in that game. Now, has he been stacked with negative? No. But he has been stacked with the pressure of delivering in this moment because of some of the successes. And that's what it looks like. Well, now take guys that don't have success, and you're trying to chase and climb the mountain all the time. It gets exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot. These guys are human beings.
Right.
I don't care if you make $275 million. It does not take away some of the real life things. We saw real-life moments yesterday for Josh Allen. He felt way more pressure than Patrick Mahomes in that, and it was jumped out of your TV. And he didn't even play bad. He just didn't play as good. It looked like in his face, like you could tell the moments were huge. He knew how big it was. He was almost trying to talk himself into it. They scored the first touchdown. They take a shot of the camera on the sideline. He's like, that's all right. We're all good. Like he's trying to talk himself into it. So Mahomes has none of that. None of that.
Right.
Like he has never had to deal with that. And by the way, Brady didn't either. These guys do not have to deal with what these other quarterbacks have to deal with. So they can sit there and I'm not telling you that they do, but you can sit there on their high horse and wonder why guys don't get to the levels that they get to. Well, when you start here and you never come down to here, it's a pretty damn good spot to be in. There's no scar tissue. Like zero. Your scar tissue is losing Super Bowls.
Right.
Not like missing seasons or half of them or dealing with Urban Meyer or getting sacked 58 times like Caleb Williams or whatever it was.
Or having another quarterback own you, because that's Josh Allen's case.
And now that's a different kind of baggage. We would like to get to that point where that's the baggage, right? That's the thing that you've got to overcome. And that might be the case at some point. Who knows? We would like to be in that spot. As just unbelievably agonizing as it must be for Buffalo, you'd like to be in that spot. And can the Jags get Trevor to there? Is this the guy to get Trevor Lawrence to where he needs to be? Yeah, with the running game, absolutely. But also with his talents, what fits him the best. It feels like, and I'm not smart enough in X's and O's, folks, and I know everybody jumps to conclusions. I think these guys want to be successful, all right? You don't take these jobs. You're not ultra competitive and uber intense in this profession without wanting to win. Even Doug Peterson, that's why the whole taking care of your buddy thing always was like, okay, but he still wants to win, right? Yeah, he definitely wants to win. He wants to get the most out of Trevor Lawrence. And they did some things. But the criticism of that offense and that scheme was maybe it's too QB-centric. And also, it changes all the time, and they react. They kind of read and react to what the defenses are doing rather than do something that they do well. So will Liam Cohen run the football? Yeah, it looks like he's going to try to run the football. That'll help your quarterback. And then what else will he tap into that really fits the comfort level of Trevor Lawrence? And, like, not every quarterback is made the same. We know that. Look at Jaden Daniels and what they're doing with Cliff Kingsbury. Look at Lamar Jackson and what they've done with Lamar Jackson. Look at Josh Allen and where he's come from an accuracy and a turnover standpoint. And then you do have, like, I think the greatness in Mahomes is now he is so on the same page of what it looks like football IQ-wise, understanding of the play with Andy Reid, which is where I thought Brady excelled at. Brady, at some point in the middle of it, I was told by someone, the thing about Brady where he's so good is before the snap, he knows where he's going. He's got it went from 4 options to 2 options. He knows where he's going. He's set you up to fail. He's going to make you look foolish. Well, how many times did we feel like even a guy like Joe Flacco this year made the Jags look foolish on defense because he outsmarted them? Well, I think Mahomes does that so well. And he knows he's a step ahead. Are we ever going to get that with Trevor Lawrence? Is he that kind of quarterback? I don't know. Some people have questioned a little bit the football. Is it above? Is it like on a different level, right? It's not bad. It's just like, is it a different level? Okay, well, if that's not your strength, then how are you going to cater it to him instead? That's the job of the coach. That's the job of the offensive guys, to put your players in the best position possible. We do think we know Liam Cohen will do that with the run game. Certainly. But what else does that look like? Not for me to answer, really not for you to answer. That's what Liam Cohen has to answer. And I wonder if they'll be able to find those answers. That's part of unlocking. Yeah, you got to protect them. You got to run the football. Your receivers have to make plays. But you still have to put this guy in the best possible situation that fits his skill set, his mentality, his game. And some would say, hey, speed this thing up a little bit. When he got going in that even if it's not a hurry up, but a little more up tempo, boom, he was dealing. That was way better. I don't think you're going to play like that all the time, but are there elements of that can even huddle up and you can find just a quick A or B answer? Or do you have to be up tempo for it? So, listen, there's again, I do not claim to know X's and O's to that degree, and I'm not going to sit here and fake it for you. I just think there are a lot. If you look at all the quarterbacks we've talked about, there are a couple of things in common. Well, they've had success, and their coaches are having success, so there's continuity, at least with the head man. And we always know that head coach and the quarterback are linked. And then it feels like we've got different quarterbacks around the National Football League, and the ones that find success, their games are being fit in. They accentuate the positives of their game and try to eliminate where the negatives could fall. And again, one of my biggest criticisms this year was that Philadelphia game on that first down play. I mean, just that's the one that is like, wait a minute. That to me isn't, maybe it's a little IQ, but it's bravado, right? It's like Trevor has made the interception in the end zone against Houston and Denver a couple years ago because of bravado, because he thinks he can stick it in there and he can get it to a receiver no matter what. Guys for years have had that, from Dan Marino to John Elway to you name it, Aaron Rodgers to Brett Favre. All of them. That's bravado. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's a little, okay, football IQ's got to trump bravado. But when Philadelphia on the first down play where you could have run the ball, you could have done so many things, and you just throw it up and put him in a situation to want to go get that because he's like, I can do this. And you almost lose your mind in the IQ part of it.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. That play still drives me nuts because, like, why did you put him in a situation to even have that result? When you know he ain't afraid to have that result. Josh Allen did it yesterday. Josh Allen threw a couple balls down the field because sometimes he can't help it.
Yeah.
And he was probably fortunate. I think even Romo was like, what are you doing, Josh?
Right. Well,
unless you knew the penalty.
Right.
Which I'm not sure he did.
Yeah.
But if he didn't, these guys they want to go make a play. Trevor has proven this. He wants to go make a play. It's why he fumbles, and sometimes why he's picked off, and sometimes why it's a goofy play like the first down one in Philly, because he wants to go make a play. And sometimes that ability or that motivation to want to go make a play just washes away any smarts and IQ and game situation and everything else.
Right.
And you have got to put him in a better position than that. You know that's in there. I mean, I feel like I knew it in real time, man. I was like, I know that play is in there for Trevor. Don't get him even thinking close to, like, avoid that play.
Right. Run
the damn ball with 1:42 to go. Like, it just still baffles me how they handled that situation, right, in that game. So I don't know what it looks like. I can't sit here and tell you that Doug and Trevor weren't on the same page, because I thought they were for a bit in a while. But I kind of look at the Doug stuff like, I think he got him to here. Now can Liam Cohen get him to here?
Right.
Look at Baker Mayfield over the years. People have been able to get him to here. Mm-hmm. Who's got him to here? Dorsey got Josh Allen to here. Well, Joe Brady got him to here.
Right.
So
there's a ceiling with everybody.
There's a ceiling with everybody, and maybe Liam Cohen is that guy. Because, man, there's way more in there for Trevor. We all know it. You got to untap it. Envelope game, I think we'll be joined by Austen Lane. Still to come. Anybody going to win anything? Anybody guess Liam Cohen in the envelope game? We'll be back on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. And by the way, Cup Date debuts a week from Wednesday. Stuart Weber have our NASCAR coverage plus a week with us. So kind of a new lineup as we head into the February month as we're outside of football season. A lot of shows here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, from NASCAR to high school sports and much, much more, including the Brent and Austin Show right here on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter, First Coast, a call at 904-417-3557. or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast Estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with That One Painter First Coast on your team.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
Burgers or breakfast, you can get it all at Whataburger. Try something new on the menu or an all-time favorite like the Whataburger Patty Melt.
And now you can have breakfast here at Whataburger 12 hours a day, 11 p.m. until 11 a.m. Menu items like the bacon taquito, sausage taquito, honey butter chicken biscuit. Whether you work the late night shift, just want a snack early in the morning to get your day started, or a little pick-me-up late in the morning, 12 hours a day, breakfast served, 11 p.m. until 11 a.m.
A dozen locations in Jacksonville. You can order pickup or delivery and download the Whataburger app. New rewards members get free Whataburger items when placing their first online order. Just download the app. And for us coffee drinkers, Whataburger has all new hot coffee and iced coffee too. Satisfy that coffee craving at Whataburger 24/7, and it comes in a variety of flavors. Burgers, breakfast, coffee, and so much more. Whataburger, just like you like it.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jags Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service, a meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
Oh, man. Wow, that's nice and fuzzy.
Golly, it just went out of focus.
Well, there's the box. You can get it off that camera. That'd be good. It's not going to come back into focus. I'll wave at it. There you go. MLB NBA show soon. That's a mix by YB400. I'm not sure about an MLB show. We do high school baseball, but Maybe if Hamby wants to do it, he loves big league baseball, so he can do it.
All right.
NBA, I doubt it. But hey, if you clamor for it enough, maybe.
What slam poetry's for? We give it 5 minutes.
Slam poetry. I think Marcel could do a WNBA show. Big WNBA fan, big trade yesterday in WNBA.
Kelsey Plume.
Yes. So there you go. Is it Plum or Plume?
Oh, man. Did I butcher it?
I don't know. I think you did, but I thought it was Plum. But it might be Plume. Maybe I don't know. There's a lot going on in that shot right there. We will have the envelope game coming up. I kind of want like Austin to be around for it. I don't know if Austin's jumping back in or not, though. I thought he was coming back in for the last hour, but maybe I misinterpreted what he was saying. Hey, one thing I want to ask before we have this news conference today about Liam Cohen stuff. What do we care about all the messiness? Like, do you care how it happened? I would think the folks in Tampa want to hear that today. But do we even care about that anymore? And I wonder how many questions are going to be asked and everything else about all of it. And you might. I mean, listen, there's a lot of real estate to cover in a news conference. But I just wonder, like, even, I don't sense...
Feels like water on the bridge now.
A little bit, right? Like, because here's where I'm getting at. When Shad kept Baalke, right, we got nonstop. Oh, you better ask the tough questions. Like, it was a lot of that, right? I don't feel like there's any of that today. Like, I don't even know. I mean, what are you going to... Liam Cohen, by the way, from that standpoint, and maybe a question or two. But I wonder if a lot of these questions will be more angled towards Shad, even on the Baalke side of it. Like, what... I mean, you got to ask, right? Eventually, somebody's going to ask. Depends who's got the mic in their hand at the time. But, you know, why did you make that decision? Why did you pivot? But I don't get the sense like the fans even are interested in.
I don't think we care.
Hey, yeah, why did you wait so long? Why did you screw this up for so long? Why? Yo, it's an explanation. I don't get that. I think everybody's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
We're moving on. It's pretty, I don't know if I'm just feeling that or if that's true.
I think a part of it is that we're so 100% convinced that it was Baalke and that was the only thing. And maybe that, like the national media or even Tampa Bay fans are not. Like, that's all it is to us. Baalke was out, in. He wasn't interested. Baalke was out. He's in. Perfectly understandable. We got it. We felt the same way. Let's go. Where the Bucks probably think fans probably think there are more variables and don't see it so clearly, and that's why they would want obviously the one who feels shafted is going to want the explanation. The one who reaps the rewards of it is like, yeah, we got him. Who cares? Here's how we got him. Part of it is it's been 3 days since it happened, right? That's just part of it.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is there was a lot of stuff over the weekend. It felt like of pointing the finger at other teams, as in the Patriots and the Bears, of how they fulfilled the Rooney Rule, how they went about their stuff. Ben Johnson not even coming in for another interview, where there was a lot of finger pointing and comparison game played, and those wars and those questions were almost fought out on Twitter, it seems like, and they don't even need to be asked today. We're just ready to move forward.
Yeah, I think they'll be asked, by the way. I just don't know if it'll be like hovering on that. I think there's so much to look forward to, ask about front office, everything else. And again, I mean, like, just from the Baselli and Shot angle alone, how much things change for those two guys in like a 48-hour span or 24-hour span. That was wild in itself. That it's like, okay, we're good. Boom, you're on. I almost wonder if fans don't want to get the answer from Liam Cohen.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, really, the front office. And I'm not saying this is what he's going to say, but what if he says, well, yeah, it wasn't anything to do with the makeup of the front office. Is that I got $4.5 million to stay? You know, will he shed some light on that? I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, I don't know I don't think the fans need blood here. from last week. The last time we did this a couple weeks ago, they were looking for blood a little bit. Let's bring in Austen Lane once again. And speaking of blood, probably has some after getting hit in the face a couple of times this morning. What's up?
Oh, did he turn his mic on?
Turn your mic on.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he'll figure it out
right
eventually.
back in here.
Plus, he's got the sun right behind him. I mean, he's got all sorts of. There you go. Hey, we'll get him figured out. We just got to educate him, but we'll make it happen.
So, do you think the only thing I need Liam Cohen, I wish for confirmation of is I would want the confirmation that it was the Baalke factor. If there was even like a yes or no on that, or how much did that weigh into the decision to open the door back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like to confirm that that's what it was. And I think Shad and Liam would both be good people to ask individually about that.
You know, Shad said something in the statement that I thought was pretty interesting, and I everybody's so enamored with the news. I don't think we sit here and break down the statements, although at times we have in the past. But I thought what he said was in that statement, I think actions speak louder than words.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a reference to obviously the not so great news conference a couple of Mondays ago, right? And saying, okay, well, hey, maybe the words weren't great that Monday, in acknowledgement of that in a lot of respects, but we're going to show you. You know, if you don't think I want to win, well, I'm going to show you. Like I'm committed to winning here. I want to win. I appreciate the fans. I love the fans, and that's what that statement said. So I thought that part was pretty interesting because he almost acknowledged some fault for that Monday news conference is what it kind of looked back and said to me. Austin's with us now, and that was just something I caught last week, Austin, with that statement when Shad said it, that it's almost like I wonder if he'll acknowledge it again. I wonder if there'll be some backtracking of any kind here today, or if it's like full steam ahead. That's how we got on this. Do fans care? Does Shad care? Is there still an explanation that needs to be done? But I don't really sense the fans here in Jacksonville care much. They love that everything's done. Baalke's gone. Got a new coach. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to look towards the future. Can you guys hear me now, or what's going on? First,
yeah, you're good.
You guys good? Okay, cool. So, yeah, first of all, you have to look towards the future, right? We can sit here and nitpick every decision that's been made the past, 3-4 years. It's not going to do us any good. And I think, as a successful businessman like Shad Khan is, he understands, like, you let history teach you stuff, but you never dwell on it. And that's with any CEO, that's with any boss, that's with any football player. We're always taught to play the next play, keep going forward. So I doubt there's going to be a lot of time looking on the past, the decisions of the past, or what led us up to this point. And I think Shad Khan's just going to push all systems go in the future.
Yeah, so we'll see what comes out of it. I'm pretty interested to get that. Let's see what some other folks here say. We need to keep Kirk and Ingram. I just want people to calm down on Cohen. Can we once wait to see what he does on the field before we crown him like Ryan Nielsen? Yeah, listen, Timmy, I get it. And by the way, that's just the nature of it, right, Austin? I mean, you get excited about these guys. There's hope. Hope is a big word in sports. Hope is a big word in fan bases. There have been times over this last little bit where this fan base has said you're kind of out of it, right? You're tired of it. You're fatigued, everything else over these last 15, 17, 18 years. And so I don't think you're ever going to stop that. If a new coach especially brings energy and hope, and yeah, should we crown Cohen? Probably not. I think we've all said that. You can be upbeat, you can be optimistic, but you certainly have questions. He's going to be a first-time guy doing this, and there's a lot to get right here in Jacksonville.
Listen, if you follow the NFL, even as a casual, you know there's a couple of things. Chiefs going to the Super Bowl, ref's going to have an input on it, and you have either two things. You have hope or you have a standard, right? And you have expectations. And I think last year was the first time in a long time, Brent, where we had expectations for this Jacksonville Jaguars team. Well, now we're back on hope, right? Like, you earn expectations by being consistent and having all the pieces in place. This team is not there right now. So all we really have to go off of is hope. Yeah, we can sit here and say Liam Cohen's going to be the best thing for Trevor Lawrence, and the run game's going to be back, and the offensive line's going to be a lot better. We can sit here and think all these things, but we just don't know right now, right? Like, there is no expectation because look where we're coming from. So right now, all we have is hope, right? teams like the Bills, teams like the Chiefs, teams like the Eagles, they're in expectation mode. Houston Texans, they're in expectation mode. All we have is hope right now until we're proven different.
Yeah, and part of that hope is Trevor Lawrence, and we talked about it for a bit while you were gone. Just real quick thought on Trevor. How much can he untap here? How much can Liam Cohen untap in Trevor Lawrence? We know we haven't seen the ceiling. We feel pretty good about that. But this is only going to work if he's able to tap into the talent that is Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Brent, it doesn't matter how good Liam Cohen is and how great the offensive line is going to be and how great the play calling is. He needs to get the best out of Trevor Lawrence, and some of that is going to have to fall on Trevor Lawrence. So I definitely think, he can get the best out of him. I mean, I'm going to love to, listen, expectations are already high next year for Trevor Lawrence, and maybe those are fair or unfair, but he's going into his 5th season now?
This will be season number 5.
Yes, his 5th season. So, you don't have the excuse anymore that you're young. You don't have the excuse anymore of the play calling. Everything's in place now. And you hope that they're going to surround him with even more players to be successful. So, yeah, it's going to fall on Trevor Lawrence. And I think at least we all believe, we can say hope or believe that he's going to elevate his play.
I think Raphael says we have a new younger generation coach, and the game is changing with the younger coaches are learning from older coaches. And I can't help but think about that a little bit more in this cycle, Austin, that I feel like these guys are prepared maybe more than ever before at a younger age. And I don't know that to be true. Keep in mind, Jack Del Rio seemed pretty prepared when he was 39 years old and got the job. But we now have the McVays of the world and other guys, and we're even interviewing the Joe Bradys at 35. I don't know why that is, and I don't know if that's actually true, but it feels like even to the point of the process, it's like they've been handed down, this is how you do the process. This is what you want to make sure of. Don't just go take a job. You want alignment. You want this. You want that. I think people in the past would be like, oh, it's a head coaching job. I'm going to take it. You know what I mean? And I think that's changed a little bit the way the younger group of coaches has done the whole process. I think that was eye-opening. Ben Johnson didn't even take second interviews. Nobody used to do anything like that, but now they're willing to do that because they have so much information about what they need. They're organized about what they need, and I guess there's a standard that's been set. If you don't have this stuff in place, you don't have a chance. I'm not going to get set up for failure.
Yeah, I mean, I think, when we talk about the difference now with younger coaches and being more prepared, I mean, I think it's the same thing with players as well. Back when I played, back in the 2010s, which seems like a stone age ago, which is crazy to say, but it's true. There wasn't a lot of, cross training. There wasn't a lot of talking to other players from different teams, especially in your division. You were kind of just left to your own devices of guys in your own team, and that was it. Well, now we see tight end in university. We see defensive ends, edge rushers getting together from different teams and going on excursions and learning from each other. And I think it's kind of the same way as coaches, right? Coaches, I mean, forever have had their trees and they've had their circles, but now I think it's even more open where everyone tries to help each other. Now, obviously, you're not going to show the entire kitchen sink, and some things will be, kept secret. But I think overall that the dialogue now, the communication, it's taken part more than ever, whether it's with coaching circles or whether it's with players in general.
Yeah, everything has changed, and we'll see. So once again, Liam Cohen introduced today at the at 3:30. We'll have it on CBS 47 and Fox 30. Hey, one thought before we get to the envelope game to end this show.
Yes.
On the Buffalo Bills, have they reached their ceiling? Is this, are they going to keep making a run? Is he eventually going to knock down the door? Because they had it every way they wanted it. They got an MVP season out of him. They were just as good. If you look at the stat, if you watch the game, this game was kind of a mirror image. I think Kansas City's defense is better, but I still think the game played out almost exactly the way Buffalo needed it to. They actually got the one turnover. They didn't turn the football over. I think 6 out of 9 drives, Kansas City either scored or the last drive I'm counting in here because they iced the game. Meanwhile, 5 out of 9 drives, Buffalo scored, but 2 times they lost it on downs. And we know the questionable one. So, I mean, are we going to see this again? Are we seeing missed opportunity where we're never they might not even make the playoffs next year, or they might not get past the first round? Where do you think Buffalo goes? Because I think they're fascinating in all of this, much like the Ravens, who have knocked on the door but not been able to get where they want to go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the way I look at it, and be honest here, Brent, if you look at those both rosters, offense and defense, and I mean, go ahead and leave the coaches out of it because obviously it's advantage Andy Reid there. But if you look at just the rosters without the coaches, who are you taking? Are you taking the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills?
I think I'm taking the Bills.
Really? Okay. I'm taking the Chiefs all day, man. I think that the Chiefs had the better defensive line. I think the Chiefs had better skill positions. Sure, you give the advantage maybe to Josh Allen, but I'm taking Patrick Mahomes all day in a big game. And I will give the advantage to the Bills in the running game, although Isaiah Pacheco runs like I used to play basketball back in the day, so I have a lot of respect for him, and Kareem Hunt was good. But no, I mean, listen, I think that the Chiefs have the better roster in my opinion.
Yeah,
so
you're probably
when we
right.
talk about so when we talk about like is the Bills' door closed? I mean, I think they exceeded expectations this year. I understand maybe in Buffalo they wanted to go to a Super Bowl and everything, but I mean, what are we talking about? Mac Hollins, Khalil Shakir. I mean, I can't even think of the other guys that they had. It's just, it wasn't the best. So I think Buffalo is still going to be on the cusp for years and years to come, but it's all going to depend on if Kansas City is going to eventually regress now. Like, say Kansas City wins the third one, right? Well, now, what's their incentive going forward? Like, if Kansas City goes back to back to back Super Bowl winners, first time ever, do they really have incentive to come back for a fourth one? Is that offseason going to be tooled and, hey, you know what? Sorry, Taylor Swift, love to go see you in concert again, but we have to win a fourth straight Super Bowl? I'm not sure about that because they have shown some regression even this year, but they're lucky to get back in. So I still think the door's open for Buffalo. I think if Kansas City wins this year, or even if they lose, I think they might regress a little bit. Not to say they can't still be a dynasty and go to a couple more, but I think next year could be wide open.
Yeah, that might be right. By the way, I mean, Kelsey, I don't know if he's going to retire, but I would think he's getting close. I mean, I don't know. I know he gets it done when he needs to get it done. He was 2 catches, 19 yards, and they still scored 32 points. Like, are they moving on after Kelsey? And by the way, they're going to find another tight end. I mean, because that's what they'll do, and that's what they do. But they do, looking at their roster, obviously you got Mahomes, and you do have Kelsey, who's such a factor that you have to defend because you're afraid of him, even though I don't think he's near the player he was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And then really the guy is Chris Jones. Like, I just don't know if Buffalo has that guy. Like, I think the rosters can be some kind of argued and comparable in many respects. But, again, I think the coaching was just so much better. And not that there's bad coaching on Buffalo, but Spags and Reid and everybody else, I thought they really coached him, and it showed up in that big game. So, I just wonder if Buffalo's missing. It's the same thing I said about Washington. Washington had a great year. Unbelievable year. Out of nowhere. Exceeded expectations. All the things you just said. You know what's going to be really hard for Washington? To get back to where they were yesterday. And everybody's going to be like, well, this is only year 1 of Jaden Daniels. He's going to get back. Ain't how it works. It's just not how it works. Believe me, I grew up like rooting for a guy, and I love Dan Marino. It didn't work that way. All right? So it's really hard to get back to those spots. And I'm not sure. I think Washington is just a special run. Things fall in place a little bit more. But I would take the Lions to beat them again if they played again next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro, I was going to ask you a question because, and this is just random because I saw this come up, and this is more, it's still on topic with Washington and everything. Paul Skeens, right, was the guy from Pittsburgh, the outstanding pitcher, and it seems like, his whole card thing was a big deal on the news and Twitter and everything, and Skeens seems like the best, like, next big thing, which is super rare for, like, a rookie pitcher to kind of be, like, the next big thing. Do you think that if Jane Daniels would have went to the Super Bowl, like, where would he have been? Like, would he have been, and I get it's football, it's baseball, so there's a difference there, but in terms of the wow factor, in terms of the star factor, what would we have been talking about with Jane Daniels compared to, like, a guy like Paul Skeens?
That's an interesting one. I never even related the two, but
because I just think of, like, next big thing rookie guys,
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I think he's there already. I think because of the scope of the NFL, like, I mean, I think way more people know or pay attention to, or even, I mean, there's some factors in, obviously, with the Skeens part, right? Livy Dunn and all the other stuff.
Also, like, but you can make an argument and say, like, I mean, Skeens is, like, maybe a top 3 pitcher already. Like, the guy is, like, nasty. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not sure if we're ready to call Jane Daniels a top 3 quarterback already, but he could be on his way.
Yeah, he looks really good. I think I'm going to still have the question of what do they do to combat him next year? How does the league react if they do think he's really good? How will they do it? And I think what we saw a little bit of that with C.J. Stroud. It wasn't just on Bobby Slowick and the offense. I think defenses played him a little bit different. I think they played a little bit more zone, and they weren't going to let you beat him with the big play. And I think there will be some riddles solved on Jaden Daniels, and then will he be able to adjust? And keep in mind, Stroud didn't even have that bad of a year. He just didn't have as good a year as he had in his rookie season because he set the standard so dang high. All right, we got some music or something? So we got the envelope game. If you don't know about the envelope game, this is why these guys are on it. I'm going to take this one full so we can show everybody. Handy. Oh, mail time. There we go.
That means we get to see our old friend, Mailbox. We just got a letter.
Did we go to AI again and I didn't realize?
Oh, it's that Blue's Clues, baby.
Wonder who it's from.
Oh, that's Blue's Clues.
Yeah,
Look
man.
at you. I missed the Blue's
to
Clues
Steve.
wave when the kids are too old. I must have missed that. Wow. But anyway, we got Shad, we got Tony Baselli, we got Trent Baalke. I think we can take
Brent,
Trent
how
off.
did you miss Blue's Clues?
Take Trent off. Nathaniel Hackett, this is in honor of him. He was in the envelope the last time we started this game, and I was the only one that did the envelope game years ago in the last coaching cycle. So this year we opened it up to other folks.
Let's go.
And Liv made this box, by the way. So hold on.
Oh, this is the season finale, everybody. This is what we've been waiting for.
Woo!
This is that Game of
By the way,
Thrones season finale right here.
we got I don't know how many of these, but should we go Hamby right off the rip, see what he got?
Oh, no.
Oh, you want to wait? Well, we'll save us till last. Okay. Brent and Austin's. We got Will Pritchett in here.
All right.
What do you got, Will?
So Will says, oh my gosh, Will, I pulled out right away. It's a Liam Cohen. Banger. How about this? Hey, this is it's like when you open cards up, like the Paul Skeens card. Liam Cohen right off the rip, man. I feel like we just won $1 million.
Bang, bang, bang. That's
Will,
5
you did
bangs
not
right there,
win.
Brent.
You did not win $1 million, Will, but you did win something here from Action News Shacks and Action Sports Shacks. All right, we got Michael Moore. Is there isn't that a movie producer or something?
Yeah, I think he was a director.
Director?
Directed
Are you kidding me? We got another Liam Cohen.
It's almost.
Is this fixed?
It is a beautiful day here in South Beach.
Man, when Liam Cohen turned back to go to Tampa, I was like, I'm not going to have to give away a prize. Now I got 2 of them. I'm going to have to take this. I'm going to have to tell him about this. How about this? Mr. Hugo says Jacksonville gets Kevin O'Connell for a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks.
Man, he really sent it.
I don't want to tie, so I'm going outside the box. I appreciate you.
Outside the box, man. That was outside the county, but I appreciate it.
Michael Rockwood. Ben Johnson. Oh, I got to feel like we're going to get a lot of those.
Oh, man.
This was, again, we put these in 2 Fridays ago. So this was before Ben Johnson went to Chicago. Ben Johnson from Theo Duval, T87. Appreciate you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let's see. I think we're going to get a lot of Bens. Here we go. Sawyer, Ben Johnson.
Yep.
Everybody wanted Ben. Remember, when we did the polls, it was like 82% Ben Johnson. James Hartman. Good luck to the JU Dolphins. Ben Johnson gets the keys to the team. Let's see where it goes. It was always the Jags. Appreciate you listening to the show.
Envelope.
He likes a lot of candidates, so he said. All right, Ben Johnson. What else? We got Matt Masters. Matthew Masters. Does he mind if we call him Matt? Ben Johnson, bring Mark home. He wanted Brunella part of it. Happy birthday, cool. Freddie T, by the way, today. And, Mark Brunell, part of it would have been good. Man, everybody was so pissed off a week ago around here.
I feel like Brent's to blame a little bit because he was hyping just how coveted the Jags' job was, playing in the AFC South, no state tax and everything. I feel like this is more Brent's fault than anything.
Logan Rivers, he goes Ben Johnson. My gosh. Yeah. Hey, I should thank the Chicago Bears and send them something because it would have cost me a bundle. Jonathan Cordell, let's see what he's got here. I think he wrote in, and I kind of put him in the mailbox. He said he was listening to our Malarkey interview, and I thought he said something. I've been hearing about the Ben Johnson to Jax connection. Privately filling out staffing template for Jax. Nonetheless, I think the Las Vegas hype is overblown. I predict Ben comes to Jax. If not, he was a close second.
Okay.
That's fair enough. Close second, but he didn't go to the Raiders.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we give him like a nice consolation prize for having a close second?
Yeah, nice job. Appreciate you listening.
Enjoy some refreshments.
By the way,
congratulations
I love
on
Jonathan.
second.
Jonathan interacts a lot, but I like that he emails actually because he doesn't want his boss to see him on the message board during work. We love you, man.
Atta baby.
We won't tell. Zach Fortner, Ben Johnson. Man, my first two I pulled out were Liam Cohen. That's nuts.
That's insane.
Do we have one more? Salvatore. I'm surprised Liv didn't throw her name in the hat here. Oh, Robert Saleh.
Finally. I thought we would have had more Saleh.
Did you think so?
Yeah, me too, right?
How close were we to Robert Saleh, do you think? If Liam Cohen doesn't get the job, is Saleh the guy, or do they go after Brady or a Munkin or a McCarthy or a Kellen Moore? What do you think?
Man, I think, all right, so if Cohen doesn't take the job, I think they try to go after Brady. I'm not sure about Moore. I think they try to go after Brady. It doesn't work, and they end up settling for Robert Saleh.
Hamby, what is this, like a love note to your girlfriend in third grade? I mean, how many times did you? Why couldn't you just wrap it up?
Fit it in there, man.
I mean, you got like what's those things called that they do? Like the
just tell everybody what I picked so I can get on with why I did it.
Ben Johnson.
I just wanted to shove it in Chicago's face because they thought they were God's gift as a coaching destination. My face is red.
Hashtag suck it Chicago if you can't read that.
Oh, wow. Even adding salt in his own wound.
I just wanted the clip.
Just wanted the clip.
We don't have to go to mine.
Austen Lane, are you kidding me?
We don't have to go to mine.
Really?
Aaron Glenn minus 500.
Hey, by the way, you spelled Cohen wrong, but that's okay.
No shot.
Hey, that's all right, right?
Did you change it out?
No, I didn't change it out.
He came back to Jacksonville for the day. Changed it out.
In case you guys weren't paying attention, I was leaving whole loaves of bread for you to follow along, saying it was going to be Liam Cohen. If you picked up on it, you picked up on it, but maybe you didn't.
Dang it.
Yeah, man. Brent. I see you, Brent. Redemption. What does the word say? Go what?
Go Rhodey.
Gosh, we could have gone 3 for 3.
How could I not go with the Rhode Island guy?
Brent, I see you, man.
I can't believe you went Cohen. I thought you were going defensive guy the whole time, Austin.
What can I say, man? Had you guys fooled a little bit.
All right.
No, so yeah, my whole thing was this. I wanted the defensive guy, but knowing I know about the organization and Trevor Lawrence and everything, I figured they'd go offense.
Yeah. Well, that's a smart move. They were going offense, I think, no matter what. I think it could have landed on a Brady or somebody else as well. The envelope game, nice work, Liv. Good work, everybody. We'll get some prizes, whoever was able to get the winner of Liam Cohen. We had a couple of them. I'm not sending a prize to Austin.
Thank you, man. We have a fan right now listening in the parking lot to us.
Oh, really? What do you got?
Let's go, Jags, man. Let them know. There you go, man.
That's down in South Florida.
Appreciate you, dude.
Dolphins suck.
No, dude, he was listening to our show. Literally, he's like, "Are you Austin?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm listening to your show right now." I'm like, "Oh, cool, yeah."
That's awesome. That's great. We got to give that guy a better shout out. Sorry. So good. That's awesome. You look at we're going all the way down to South Florida now. Way to spread the word, Austin. All right. Hey, 3:30 today. CBS 47, Fox 30. We'll have it covered. Liam Cohen introduced. Austin will get back after it tomorrow. Have a good day. All right. That's going to do it for us.
Uh-oh.
Liam Cohen walking in the building over us. All right, thanks for hanging out with us. Have a good rest of your day, everybody. Again, 3:30, CBS 47, Fox 30. We'll have it live for you, the Liam Cohen News Conference.